chaos all around them with helicopters flying overhead. How are they going to communicate effectively? And with First Step, we
Hello everyone, this is Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Let's kill this because we don't necessarily need this anymore. We're at showtime. Guys, I hope everyone is having a good day today. This is our Contributor Appreciation Show. We do this, well, because we are appreciative that people contribute and support the show. Whether that's with your views, whether that's with your likes, whether that's with your shares, whether that's with all three of those. And some of them are contributors, patrons, and I definitely appreciate it. It helps the show and it keeps the show ticking along. So each Sunday at 1 p.m.-ish, I just said 1:30, because that seems to be what we always set the show for.
Yeah, it seems like it's been starting around 1:30.
Yeah, but that's the deadline thing. That's like when you put yourself on a deadline, like when you're saying, all right, this alarm is going to go off at this very specific time, regardless of what takes place, hell or high water. You tend to drag your ass out there to be there. That alarm. If nothing else, the thing is like, beep, 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 beep. And after a while, you're like, all right, this alarm is making us look bad. We need to get out there. So,
what's up with our background?
I'm changing it to something that's more fitting to, I guess, whatever we were talking about. I'll find one. But if you'd like to, you can explain. My wife tends to explain what's going on from the standpoint of patron appreciation.
Oh, okay. So today is, like he said, patron appreciation every Sunday, 1 p.m.-ish. Once a week, there will be a post on patrons that says, hey, don't forget, patron appreciation is Sunday, and that is where patrons go and put their topic suggestions. We pull from those topic suggestions to get the content for today's show.
Yes.
Also, if you were not on last week's show and did not know, there is a new Facebook page, because there are a lot of people that contribute outside of Patreon, and we wanted to make sure that they get the content even though they're not on the Patreon platform.
Yes.
Because if you don't know, after this show airs live, it's going to be taken down and put on the Patreon platform and available only for patrons to view. So if you're not a patron and you give somewhere else, you don't have access to that. And so we've created kind of like an exclusive content page on Facebook, members only kind of secret group. So if you are interested, email Jamal in the link below. If you're a contributor, there's a couple questions that you have to ask. We send you the link, and that way you can be part of the group and get all the access. So we're dropping all of the patron videos there. Every now and then there's some other exclusive content. Anytime that Jamal goes out of town, I don't know if you guys are aware, but he goes to DC and he's on a couple of radio shows.
I do radio shows.
Kind of regularly. So usually when he's going out, I give a reminder or an update and say, tune in live. He's going to be a guest on the show. Those are put out on Patreon, so they will also be out on this exclusive group. So if you're not aware and you're a contributor and you want the exclusive content, then email us. There's a couple questions to answer, and you'll be part of the group, because we want to make sure that you're getting the same thing that everybody's getting just because you're not giving through Patreon. So PayPal, Super Chat, Streamlabs, those are all ways that you can contribute, and that allows you to get access to the content.
Okay. Any other
no
updates?
other updates. If you didn't know, you can send stuff to Jamal through the P.O. Box, again, in the description box. We didn't get anything this week.
Nothing?
Yeah, the P.O. Box isn't really jumping. Every now and then we'll get something. But no, last time I checked it was empty.
It's always wild to me to get anything, if I'm being honest. Like,
it's kind of cool.
Well, you open it and it's a wild card. It's like a quantum event, like those, like a probabilistic event.
Usually it's empty.
Yeah, but you don't know. The cat is half dead and alive at this moment that you open it. It's like a Schrodinger.
But then it's the question of, okay, so if it's not that much that goes there, should we keep the P.O. Box?
Yes, because every so often there's a random event. Yeah,
okay.
Not to mention, I don't think it's expensive to have. Just like every random moment something takes place. All right, so I am looking for a very specific video.
We have we have a super chat.
Go for it.
From Winky the Bernie Bro.
Yeah.
Says, love the hair, Mrs. Thomas. Thank you. I'm a little self-conscious about my hair sometimes. I think it gets on Jamal's nerves when I do it because I choose to wear the style and I'm like, oh, this is cute. And everybody's like, oh, that's cute. And I was like, I don't know if I should wear that on the show. So thanks, Winky. It says Winkle.
It doesn't.
But you say Winky.
It doesn't get on my nerves. The only, honestly, it's this video.
I know how he feels. He's going to say, if it's uncomfortable to you and you're that concerned about it, then don't wear it. Like, if it makes you uncomfortable, don't wear it. But you know, sometimes you're like, well, what do you think? And he's like, nothing. And I'm like, you don't have any input on it whatsoever. No feelings. And I understand he wants me to make the decision on myself. But it's kind of frustrating because it's like, bro, I'm about to go on your show where you have 22,000 subscribers with my Bantu Nods. Are you comfortable with that?
It's not 22,000, is it? It's 20. It's up there though. It's like 20,000, 21,000 and some change or something. Like it's up there. But look, my reasoning is this: I am a fanatic for an individual's choice. I do not want to intercede on choice, and I am, you know, this is one of those ideological oppositions. It's for the same reason I didn't want you to give up your last name. You know, it's an element of you. It's like, would I give up my last name if I was a woman and I was getting married? With my thinking now, no.
I feel you, but
it's
all things
choice. If you do something and you say, I like doing this, and then my thought is, okay, you like doing this, and then you take the secondary thing of saying, what do you think? What I think doesn't really matter in this case because you like doing it. Now, anything that I tell you that may inhibit your doing that to some degree is inhibiting your own will, your own choice. I don't necessarily want to get into that. Now, it's another thing if it's atrocious.
That's my thing. If I'm looking busted,
if I'm like,
or if it's
by my
rough,
own, by even
then
my
I
own
want you
standards,
to say, well, give me something.
If it's by your standards,
something.
yes. If I think, all right, look, babe, you're gonna do this. It's like, don't do this. If it's something like that, then yeah. But under normal circumstances, if it doesn't really matter what I think, if it's not trespassing. Now, I'm not a fan of bald women. I'm just putting that out there.
Or short-haired women. What is bald? Bald like shave?
Shave,
like I can
short
see
hair.
scalp, or like short?
Even like really, really short. Now, this is my own thing though. This is like, everybody has their thing. I used to have a friend of mine that loved white women and he wouldn't date black women. You know, that was his thing. Black women hated him for that. It was our boy. It's not my opinion to judge on it. He is what he is. He's a person. He's an avatar. He chooses what he wants. But I've always told her, I was like, look, I can't deal with the short hair thing. That's my only thing. Beyond that point. But that's my own
He has said, if I cut my hair off, we're getting divorced. Now, it's a different story, like if something happens and I lose my hair.
If you get cancer, fine. Yeah, that's different.
Well,
that's different. That's different.
Like,
like if something happens.
When I colored my hair like a couple weeks ago, it was kind of like, all right, so does that count? Like if I was coloring my hair at home and my hair fell out, is that grounds for divorce, or can we?
But that can grow back though.
Can we get through that?
That would feel shallow. I mean, is it permanent or is it? Like, is it?
I mean, my hair's gonna grow back.
Let's say it was a new chemical that they put on the market, and you're like, I want to try this, and I kept saying, babe, don't do that. And you say, I want to try this. I'm like, babe, it's a corporation. They're trying to do what they can to make their profit. And you're like, fuck that, I'm going to use it, and all your hair falls out, and it's permanent. That may be different because I'm like, I told you not to do that, and now you've put me in a situation. Now, can I, in that situation, have preferences outside of the relationship at that point, since
what
you did something well, I'm saying if you've done
preferences, you mean like you prefer divorce?
Well, I mean, all right,
if you need something outside of the relationship, I prefer you get out and we.
So essentially, if all your hair falls out because of something that you did, yeah, the relationship's over, probably. But hey, I'm giving you my heads up in advance. You know it before you got married.
Luckily, when I colored my hair didn't fall out.
It didn't fall out. It didn't fall out. And he's like, "What do you think about it? Do you like it?" Yes. Then I think nothing.
Yeah, today he was like, "Yeah, nothing.
It's
no feelings, none whatsoever." All right, we are way. All right, so
it's okay. I want you to have a choice. I want you to be a person, and in that being a person, I want you to be able to choose what you want.
I do want you to tell me, like, if I'm going outside.
If it's atrocious, I would tell you.
Looking busted.
My rule is atrocious.
What about busted?
Depends on what you mean about busted.
I don't know. I'll find some examples later.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the first story I want to get to today is, of course, one of the big stories. And this is one of those things that we've been talking about pretty heavily for the past week. and I think this has even hit your radar.
If you have access to
Right.
an individual outside of yourself, you should have heard about.
I think, right, you should
Julian
have heard about this. Exactly. Let's take a look at this. Took place at the embassy in London the other day when Ecuador, under very bizarre circumstances, withdrew asylum, something that we didn't even think you could do under normal circumstances, withdrew asylum to Julian Assange, who's been there in the embassy for, if I'm not mistaken, 7 years.
They must resist. UK resist.
No worries.
UK must resist.
Thank you.
They're literally dragging him out the embassy and throw him into the back of a police van. Now, for the longest time, people like me, people like Max Blumenthal, people like Ben Norden have been saying, and his lawyers have been saying, there's an extradition warrant. There's a warrant. There's a secret warrant held by the United States for my extradition out of the country. Over and over again, he has continuously said, look, I am willing to stand trial. I am willing to go back to Sweden to stand trial. Hell, you can bring the prosecutors here. I am willing to talk to them. One promise. Promise me you're not going to extradite me. They said, we will never make that promise to you because we intend to extradite you. And people like us who are like, there's a warrant. There's a secret warrant. Yeah. The United States' reach is literally beyond its borders into another country for somebody who's
inside of the embassy. I
inside
thought
of the,
that wasn't allowed.
That was not necessarily supposed to be allowed. Ecuador is a country among nations, and they can give sovereignty or they can give asylum like any other nation.
Right.
Ecuador, under the last government, gave Julian Assange asylum. Correa, who was head of Ecuador, is president of Ecuador that gave asylum, came across as if he was even, to some degree, poking his finger in the eye of imperialist nations. He talked in the sense of imperialist nations, so he understood it in that context. And understood Ecuador as being a country unto itself, and this idea of Western domination running roughshod over South American countries was over under his watch. I'm giving him asylum. His new guy comes in, and he doesn't have that idea.
So much, yeah.
He doesn't have that point of view. And Correa, who gave Julian Assange asylum, all of a sudden has a case against him where they're trying to get him extradited from the country that he was in, surprisingly so. And the new guy, Moreno, could not withdraw the asylum willy-nilly because there are certain international laws that are associated with it. But I always say international law doesn't exist. I always say it doesn't matter. If you can't enforce it, it doesn't matter. It's just your opinion. And we get shown that, once again, international law doesn't exist. Then he gives a list of reasons to which they're pulling Julian Assange from out of the embassy.
Right.
It is utter
because
nonsense.
He can't revoke his asylum, but he can come up with some other BS.
You can revoke it. You just need to come up with a reason for doing so. And his reasoning for doing so is, he's not taking care of himself. He's sprayed feces on the wall.
Yeah, I was going to say
some of the stuff was smearing.
Didn't they say something about like he wasn't taking care of his cat?
Yeah, he wasn't taking care of his cat. And it's like, we feared for his safety, and he was saying things that was against Ecuador, things that were true, by the way, that we were being threatened by other nations. You were being threatened by other nations. That we were taking money in exchange, get rid of your asylum. You were taking money like for loans, IMF loans. And guess who got an IMF loan immediately after Assange was captured? Ecuador. Fucking shocking.
Didn't you go to Ecuador?
I did go to Ecuador. Beautiful people. President leaves something to be desired. However, when I was there, Correa was in office.
Yeah.
He was in office. Don't get me wrong, they thought he was corrupt. I didn't know what was going on in Ecuador politics, but they were talking about Correa. But that said, people aren't perfect. And in this case, what he did was right. And then we finally get to the case against Assange. That's the part that was interesting. When the United States finally says, what is your charge against him? It is not espionage. They get him with hacking. They're turning a guy who said, thank you for the information, I will publish this information,
into
a hacker. Now, this is a journalistic function that he's doing, but they're accusing him of hacking. This is retribution. I mean, this is entirely they're angry that they lost the election. And Donald Trump, when asked about WikiLeaks, who said WikiLeaks like almost 200 times during the election, guess what Donald Trump said?
What's WikiLeaks?
What's WikiLeaks? What's WikiLeaks?
I know you did a video, so check it out if you haven't seen it, but one of your last videos was Tulsi's response.
Yes, Tulsi's response was
to Assange's arrest.
In fact, let's see Tulsi's response, because it's all of like 1 minute long. But
I guess what I was going to say was, I like the fact that she mentions what you said about it's like retaliation.
It's retaliation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what it is.
She said, this is the U.S. government saying you're sharing information we don't want you to, so now we're going to get you. And that's a scary thing.
And understand, we're talking about your government is doing things that's illegal. And somebody brings that to light. And the issue here is not the fact that your government is doing things illegal. The fact is that you brought it to light.
Right.
And
I don't think that they were expecting Tulsi Gabbard to say that because of her military record. Because there are a lot of people in the military that think that, I think, I don't know.
No,
it was
they do.
my understanding that, you shouldn't share,
they do.
State secrets, that kind of thing. And so I think that he was a little shocked when she was like...
I've met those people. Those people are lunatics. Because
I don't think he was expecting her to say that.
You've been brainwashed. I'm sorry. I hate to tell you this. Under normal circumstances, people who live in the country themselves have been brainwashed just by the culture and the iconography and all that other stuff. But particularly if you're in the military, I've met people like that. And you're like, how do you know what your government is doing if you don't know what your government is doing? Well, I mean, sometimes they do stuff behind the scenes that's necessary. But what about the stuff that's not necessary, where they're just doing it to hide film malfeasance? Well, I mean, your government was doing mass surveillance. How would you have known that otherwise? Your government was killing reporters. They didn't even know who it was murdering. And they tried to help. Like, you bring this stuff up. It's like, how do you know what your government is doing if you don't know what your government is doing?
You're supposed to just have this blind, unquestioning faith.
That's religion.
That they're not
I don't work with
doing
religion.
anything wrong.
I don't work.
Do you have Tulsi's response?
I think so, yeah. I can show it in this video.
I remember that from your... I watched that video.
You watched this video?
This is... response.
Did she just give me a part? I would have...
Has the power to kind of lay down...
Agree with that?
All right, here we are.
So this is Tulsi Gabbard's response on...
Do you agree with that? And what do you think about Assange's extradition and prosecution in the U.S.?
Look, over time, there hasn't been any proof that that has been brought to bore. And what we have seen is that so much of the information that's been released has informed the American people about actions that were taking place that they should be aware of. It provided transparency around issues both related to civil liberties as well as actions that our military was taking in the Middle East that they should not have been. So really, I think what's happening here is some form of retaliation coming from the government saying, hey, this is what happens when you release information that we don't want you to release. And I think that's why this is such a dangerous and slippery slope, not only for journalists, not only for those in the media, but also for every American, that our government can and has the power to kind of lay down the hammer to say, be careful, be quiet, and fall in line. Otherwise, we have the means to be able to come after you.
So you...
Perfect.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
Perfect. Perfect.
Lay down the hammer.
I watched that and I thought to myself, yes, that's what I want to hear. And not just the only, like I said, in that video, the only other thing I would have said was, Jake, you're not concerned that if the United States can go after somebody who's doing a journalistic job, meaning just trying to push people to give them information about what goes on behind the scenes.
What about you?
Yeah. You're not concerned, Jake. Jake, like I said, in that video, Jake would laugh because Jake is not concerned about that. Because Jake Tapper
Go watch the full video here. His whole
I put it in
response.
the bottom. But you get my point.
It out.
She's right. She's on
I
point.
just made the reference. I said this is what I like.
The secondary part to this is the politics involving smearing. Like, so...
What do you mean?
So,
Smearing Assange, you mean?
Smearing Assange.
Oh, okay.
Well, because it's... If the public thinks, looking at this, that, wait a minute, this is some kind of injustice, the public is going to be somewhat against you, meaning from a public opinion standpoint. So your job as the government that's doing something that's utterly atrocious and getting this guy is not just to get this guy, but you got to make him look bad. It's the pot thing. It's the Nixon thing. Like, to get blacks and hippies. I can be on TV every night smearing these hippies as, oh, look at those druggies, and drugs are against the law, and these guys are breaking the law. Well, Nixon was doing this for political angles. Nixon didn't give a shit that these people were smoking. They cared more so about the politics of it. He didn't want blacks and hippies joining together. And so he loved this perspective where he can be in government castigating the person.
Down.
Right. It's not just he's doing something illegal. He's also a horrible, disgusting human being that's doing something illegal. Makes it easier to go after him. Same thing with Assange. You have a tranche of people that think Assange is right. But you have another tranche that don't really pay attention to this stuff and just gets bits and pieces of it. Donald Trump peed on somebody. Trump peed on somebody. Oh, gosh. I hate Donald Trump. I could see Donald Trump peeing on somebody. So, you know, the PP tape. The value of the PP tape wasn't that the PP tape was real. It was just the fact that you could say PP tape, if that makes sense. Do you beat your wife? Doesn't matter if it's true or not. The value of it is that we're having a conversation about you beating your wife. It doesn't matter if Julian Assange didn't take care of his cat or he smeared feces on the wall. It just matters that we can have the conversation about it. There's going to be a percentage of people who don't pay attention to the media, who's only going to get a small tranche of it, who says, that guy smeared, oh gosh.
Yeah,
I don't know enough about him to know whether it's true or not. Right. But my media guy, who's looking at me with the Jake Tapper face, is telling me that this happened. The truth of it is less important. I mean, this is the politics of smearing. I mean, this is literally what takes place. When somebody says, oh, that guy's anti-Semitic, it doesn't matter if he's anti-Semitic. The fact that you're having a conversation about him being anti-Semitic is the issue. The politics of smearing, the politics of getting the public to be disengaged, to not care. There's going to be a section of the public that knows you're bullshitting. That's not the section you're getting, because you'll never get that section. You're trying to get the section that don't know, that don't pay attention, and that's out there skateboarding, that's out there banging his girlfriend or his wife, that's working on something in the shop, that's playing their Xbox. You're trying to get this little bit of information just to peek beyond the surface that's explosive and that sticks into the conscious mind enough that you can associate it with the individual. The reality of it is less important. It's gross, but it is the politics of it.
Yeah.
If you had no moral, compass at all, and your moral compass was cause and effect, how do I create a cause that creates effect in the world that I want? The effect in the world that I want in this case is to put Julian Assange in prison and drag his ass back to these states. And by the way, this effect is not singular. You have multiple people with various things that they want in this situation. Donald Trump has already given you his politics. What's WikiLeaks?
Yeah.
Now, this is utter nonsense. Donald Trump clearly knows what WikiLeaks is. We were in a conversation on Fault Lines, and he was like, Donald Trump wasn't being briefed. Bullshit. Donald Trump has been made an association between Trump, Russia, and WikiLeaks for the entirety of the 3 years he's been in office. This has dogged his presidency, that he had something to do with Russia. And keep in mind, the intermediary between those two was supposedly WikiLeaks. And so now Donald Trump is put in a position of, hey, we're going to extradite Julian Assange. Well, I want to show that I have nothing to do with this situation at all. I don't even know what WikiLeaks is. That's how much I have nothing to do with the situation. I don't even know what WikiLeaks is. So the Hillary supporters, the rabid Hillary supporters that believe that Julian Assange has something to do with her candidate losing are pissed at Assange. They want him. They're like, get him. Yeah. Trump doesn't want to have anything to do with it. So from his standpoint, I don't even know what WikiLeaks is. I don't even know what WikiLeaks is. So in this case, everybody's incentive is fuck Assange. The Democrats want him because they think he lost. Trump doesn't want to touch him. And to be fair, there's a conception of the conservative base that looks at this and finds this to be an utter betrayal. I've talked to these people where they look at this and says, I don't understand why Trump is behaving this way. It feels like Trump is being not given the proper information. It's like, oh God.
Is that what you think?
They're stuck between their loyalties between well, I want to support Trump, but I disagree with Trump on this opinion, but I don't want to say he's incompetent or he's lying to me, so I just need to say he's not.
Yeah.
No! All incentives in this work in one very specific, particular direction, especially from the standpoint of Trump and from the standpoint of Democrats. And on this, they agree. They want to get Assange.
So,
I hope I explained that right. I mean, the politics are gross, but you must understand these are not people like us. Like, not people like us in the context of, like, what I do and put into the world, I get back. There's no intermediary. I don't have $1 billion where I can have a bunch of people to just do a bunch of work for me and create a left between those things. What Trump and what politicians do in the world are not necessarily directly hitting them, even though they put it into the world because they have to shape a point of view from the standpoint of people they would never touch and people they would never meet. So when I do stuff, I have to care about it. I have a moral compass associated with it. The moral compass to some degree is created just based on the cause and effect in the world. They don't have that. We can't pretend as if they engage the world in the same way that we gauge the world. They don't. They don't have the same triggers. They don't have even from a monetary standpoint, a class standpoint, it's different.
Completely different.
Right.
Yeah.
We can't, so their moral compass is not necessarily there. Or at the very least, it's so narrowed out that it really only pertains to things. So John McCain hates torture because John McCain was tortured. Dick Cheney's okay with gays because his daughter is gay. It's that type of stuff. But we can't look at them in that way. They don't look at this stuff from the standpoint of a moral compass. I don't think they have one in our way. It's cause and effect. So Donald Trump can say with a straight face, I have no idea what WikiLeaks is. And you can have Hillary supporters, let's go get Assange because we believe that he somehow, hurt Hillary Clinton, even though there's no connection, like that type of stuff.
All right, so like we said before, we try to get content from the patrons, and there's so much going on with the Julian Assange story. We got to hit it from so many different angles. But Philip Hoffmanner, I am
butchering that name.
I don't think I am.
Let me try.
There's a accent on top of it. No, that's not
it.
right. I think it's Hoffmanner. Philip, if you're here, let us know how to pronounce your name.
I just told you.
But Philip says,
put emphasis
because it's so important. Will Americans protest in the streets for Assange and for press freedom in great numbers?
Americans don't even protest in the streets for health care.
Let me finish his
minimum wage.
He wants to know for protests and in great numbers, he emphasizes, if he's extradited to the United States. Philip believes it could make a difference, but he's afraid that their hatred over the 2016 elections has blinded many of your fellow countrymen. I don't think Philip is from the States. So Philip wants to know, will there be protests? Will people be out en masse protesting the arrest and extradition potential?
There will be people who will protest Julian Assange, yes. And if I'm not mistaken, there have already been protests for Assange. If I'm not mistaken, in fact, the day that he was kidnapped or taken from the embassy,
people were protesting that day.
They were protesting that day.
At the UK embassy in DC, right? They did protest the day that he was arrested.
When I went to Fault Lines the next day, they were telling me that they were protesting that day. You will get people to protest. Great number is subjective. Based on my own subjective perspective of what a great number is, that answer is going to be no in comparison to what, because he's press freedom thing, man. The Obama administration wouldn't go after Assange for this very specific reason, because any level of credibility, any level of credibility associated with the process, you look, he publishes information. Hey, here, Aisha, take this. All right, I'm going to publish what you give me because I'm functioning in a journalistic capacity. That's my job. Even if I'm pushing you, say, hey, you have access to Trump tax returns. Give me the give me the returns. Give me the returns. Hey, can you give me the returns? That's you developing the source. That's you engaging with the source. Let's say you had Hillary Clinton's emails. Hey, she's lying to these people. Hey, they were cheating Bernie Sanders. You have that information? Yeah, I just need to get it from the thing. Okay, yeah, I think you should do that. I mean, the public needs to know that. What are they going to lock me up now because I'm trying to develop you as a source to get that information out? I was like, for fuck's sake, the credibility that the government has on this stuff is like almost non-existent, and it gets worse and worse, it seems, as the years go by. Whatever you want to say about the Obama administration, at the very least, there was a shred of integrity of saying we can't go after him.
Yeah.
Just an honest, you know, what does this mean? Because
It's just opening the door for, I mean...
Because understand, your actions
precedent.
as president has to be weighed in the context that it's not just you. You're setting a precedent. Whatever you do, whatever takes place in the office, people who come behind you are going to be able to say, the previous president did this. Take 10, 15, 20 years in the future. Well, that president in this particular year did this, took this action as a president for me doing this action. Well, in this case, they've set the precedent that anybody, anywhere in the world that's performing a journalistic action that the United States doesn't like can potentially put a criminal case against that individual
Fair
for doing journalism. Think
Fair
about
game.
that. Say somebody in Sweden finds Trump's tax returns, however how, and they get access to them, and it publishes in a Swedish newspaper. Are you telling me that it would be okay for Donald Trump to somehow get a case on somebody in Sweden and get them extradited to the United States for charges to be pressed against them? Oh, this is for, like, it's astonishing. And you know, it's like you would think that Tapper, all of these guys would be setting themselves on fire.
Shit. Yeah, like they that they would be enraged. I mean, that's.
I would say this. It
But
tells you something.
someone said, I don't know if it was you or someone else. They aren't journalists.
They're journalists.
That's why they don't really have the fear that it's going to happen to them.
It's called being a stenographer. It's the protection of being a stenographer.
All right, so real quick, we do have a couple super chats I was going to read, but we did find, in response to Philip Hoffman's question, Hoffman.
You have to say it angry because it's German. Hoffman.
I don't know that it is German. That's so fucking racist.
It's German.
I don't know that it is German.
I've been to Germany. I know what German words look like.
In response to Philip's question, we did find just one quick resource that's talking about protests that are
He's
coming
going to
up.
cancel his patron thing. He's going to say it.
So Jamal's going to pull that information
He's
out.
going to say
Just really
that.
quickly for
It's the German asshole.
Super Chat. Also, if you donate through Super Chat and your information pops up, I'm scanning it to make sure that we don't miss your comment. Peter version 1 says, Mrs. Thomas? Do you mean Mr. Thomas? It says Mrs. Thomas. You think Dore left because of Russia? That wasn't posed as a question, so I don't know if you're saying that I think it. I haven't said one way or the other, but I'm not going to go into that because that's our next topic or one of our next topics. So we will save that.
Yeah, and that happened.
About
Forgive us for the disorganization. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a tendency to talk over people. I realize that.
especially me.
It's not just you, actually.
It's everybody. You're equal opportunity talker over.
It is. The reason is this, and I realized early on, I've already figured out what the person is going to say. Like halfway through what you're about to say, I'm already there. In which case, I'm responding to it.
But let them hear. Let them hear.
I have a quick audience.
Okay, well, it's 380 people on here. 5 of them might not know. So for those 5, let me finish my.
We are the 97%, man.
All right, so what I was going to say was I'm not going to get into that because one of our next topics is going to be
Dore.
Jimmy
In fact,
Dore
that is
leaving.
literally the next topic.
And,
Dore leaving TYT. Oh, my bad. I did it again. I'm sorry.
You're killing me.
My bad. I'm sorry. Go
You're
ahead.
killing me.
My bad. I'm sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
The next super chat was from Peter version 1 again. He says, Rachel said she had Trump's returns. No problem. Are you talking about Rachel Maddow?
Rachel Maddow. But she didn't have Trump's return. She had, like, the page that Rachel Maddow showed. Rachel Maddow teased his returns an entire weekend. Goes into the full show, I think, like 19 minutes, I think, something like that. And what she shows was that Trump's paid his taxes. Now, the sad part about this is that it's possible that Trump didn't pay his taxes, but the view of this that she showed was essentially that he paid his taxes for a particular year. And people looked at this and like, are you fucking kidding me? Not only did you give him credibility because it made it look like he paid something that he might not have paid, you teased this for days.
Wait, pull up the Revolution, I think it was called revolution.org.
Right here, Popular Resistance.
And scroll down. We did just want to respond to Philip's question or topic from Patron. This is a list of the information that we were able to find on a website called popularresistance.org. And this is specific to, well, this segment is specific to Julian Assange.
I'm putting them at the bottom.
protests.
So they have access to it.
So Jamal is going to put the link to this website in the description box. So if you're interested in joining the protests,
There's going to be rallies: New York Consulate, San Francisco, Germany, Berlin, DC, Georgia, Boston, Chicago, Colorado, Texas, California, Miami, New York, San Francisco, and Seattle. This list and phone numbers are for people when they're trying to get rallies developed. So
reach out to them if you're interested. Like he said, I think it would be awesome for people to protest, but are they going to be out in mass?
I don't know, man.
Not so
I'm cynical. I've gotten cynical, and I wouldn't even call it cynicism. To some degree, I call it pragmatism. I think the answer is some people will be out. Yes.
Yeah.
Mass
Is the number going to
be what it should be
commiserate with
his role,
right?
With his
No.
role. Because
It's not.
I think about what he so your country. Julian Assange came out and showed that your country's military, the military where we spend nearly $1 trillion a year for, was killing people, and it didn't know who it was killing. Some of those being a Reuters reporter. Now, what they're going after him for has nothing to do with WikiLeaks. I mean, from the standpoint of Clinton stuff. This has everything to do with what was taking place from the standpoint at the war.
Yeah.
Meaning the Manning, Chelsea Manning. So, Democrats don't care about that. They just hate Assange. Missing the fact that what Assange was revealing were war crimes. Not just war crimes, the fact that your country was spying on you, mass surveillance, everything that you did, your country was viewing. They're looking at him purely through the lens of Clinton losing that race. And they're still, the fact that they're looking at him through that lens shows that they haven't come to grips with the fact that she just lost. She just lost.
All right, just another super chat. Patrick Seguin says, internal medicine deemed me cancer-free. Cheers. That's great news, Patrick.
Fucking A,
Yeah.
Patrick.
He's been keeping us up to date on what's going on.
That's
So
awesome.
that's awesome, yeah. Can I say that? I was going to say,
What?
well, no.
What?
You're supposed to know what I'm going to say.
Well, you need to say, I need you to say the first few words.
Well, I'm talking about a potential cancer scare. And I was going to say, we ourselves
Hey, cancer scares, yeah.
had a cancer scare.
See?
in
You
our
didn't think I could do
family.
it right there.
Well, I fucking finished the sentence before
But I
you.
need I told you I need, you can't say I, and there's what am I going to say? I need you to, start running first.
Yeah, so we understand how
Exactly
scary
what you're
that
feeling
is
it is,
and
yeah.
intense that is. Not us specifically, but a family
We have family
member,
members
so,
that had it, yeah.
Yeah, so
We totally understand. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. All right. Bad Mama Jamma says if Bad Mama Jamma, hold on, it just popped off the screen. Bad Mama Jamma says if we allow them to silence and prosecute Assange, they will come for Jimmy Dore and Jamal next. Have a good Sunday, y'all. Bad Jamma, that's the weight that it carries, the fear.
But you can make an argument that it has. I mean, part of the Russia argument that they've been using, the Russia argument has been used to Hillary Clinton lost. Part of the way that Hillary Clinton lost was because information was being released that didn't go in line with the typical Democratic narrative. Meaning there were pathways of people saying, I am not voting for Clinton, and maybe you shouldn't either. Meaning it wasn't purely just mainstream media. Hillary Clinton had like $1 billion campaign, not to mention a Twitter army where she was paying millions of dollars for. And people still said no. They looked at this as somewhat of a threat to organization as the way it is, meaning the status quo. And so when you had Democrats in Congress bringing together all these tech companies, and it's like, we need to silence Alex Jones. We need to shut all these voices up. Those were the outliers. Now, Jones is a fucking lunatic. But the precedent is set at that point for you to move on into areas that you don't necessarily like and people that you want to silence.
Yeah.
And what those tech companies, the demonetizations, the stuff like that, those things are done in order to try to silence the... For example, if I do a video on Syria, that video gets demonetized. The incentive structure itself that's built into it is, don't do that video because you're not going to make money on the video. Now, there'll be some people who say, okay, I'm not going to do that video. I'm not going to add as much attention to the video. So without being overly heavy-handed, you've been able to enact something just based on the natural incentives to decrease something that you don't like. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be this heavy-handed thing. Don't get me wrong, it gets more heavy-handed as it goes along when it doesn't work. But look at Facebook getting rid of sites for Israel at the behest of Israel, meaning Palestinian sites and protest sites gotten rid of. Anti-war activists being taken off Twitter and off of Facebook. Yeah. You know, it does happen. So this bid to silence the left using the Russia scare was a political assault. You know, whether I don't doubt that there are some Democrats that believe it, but I think they believe it for self-interested reasons that they believe it. You know, it's their self-interest to believe it. But it has had real consequences in the real world. I mean, in regards to shutting, even, believe it or not, from a presidential standpoint. I mean, this has been so significant that the President of the United States has said, I don't know what WikiLeaks is. But he doesn't know what WikiLeaks is because of the association with Russia. He's trying to break a link there. He doesn't necessarily want to add to this kind of idea that he has something to do with them losing the election. Yeah. It has had consequences. I don't think that everything Trump has done has been because he's trying to push back against the Russia thing. Don't misunderstand me. But for Trump to say, I'm taking the troops out of Syria, and the defense establishment freaks out. And there's like, see, we knew he was associated with Russia. Meaning the very act of him trying to do something that he has said he wanted to do from early on in the political process gets shut down because of Trump and Russia and this nonsense with this idea of Russia attacking us. It has had real consequences. Imagine if a Democrat takes office. Like, you know, like what is the perspective of the Democrat who believes that the Russian government has somehow usurped democracy and got Trump in office? This has had real consequences, man. This is not, you know, for not.
Yeah. Can I read the next super chat? Sorry. Natural Progressive says, Extinction Rebellion really needs to incorporate hashtag Unity4J in their protest this week. The two causes are connected in that we need to hold the government accountable and keep them honest. So she's saying use a hashtag Unity4J, the number 4.
Yeah,
J.
You know, the Unity for J movement have been going on for a while. They've been holding vigils. I've participated in some of those vigils. In fact, I participated in, I think, the first 2 or 3. I haven't done one for a while, but they're still going on, and they've had emergency vigils going on. My only thing with this is, I don't want whatever I do to be done for naught. And don't misunderstand me. There sometimes opportunities create opportunities. Like, you know, standing somewhere, somebody is not going to come and say, here's $1 million. But you may have something in your pocket. You may have some skill at your disposal that may get somebody to get attention that you can go from point A. Like it's the exchanging of one advantage for another advantage to get you further along to where you want to go. So I don't have this belief that just not doing anything is going to somehow make something take place. By the same token, I don't want it to be negligible. Like, I don't want it to be like you're angry, like recycling. I'm recycling and I'm going to somehow save the world by recycling. You're not. It just makes you feel better. You know, it's not going to, you know, the major things, like 70% of the pollution are caused by like a few companies. So I don't want it to be feel this way. In the same way, I don't want it to be like I'm angry and so I'm just screaming in a phone booth and nothing is taking place from that. I want it to matter. I want it to take effect. I want it to have some kind of, I want it to have teeth. I guess that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But they've been protesting, and like I said, advantages sometimes begets advantages. But popular resistance, at the very least. And by the way, the intersectionality, I agree with. All right. Anything else on this one?
No, I think that's it. I'm sure there's going to be some more updates on the Assange topic.
By the way, here's one more thing. So they captured Assange. Assange had made the point that they were spying on him. He said that a lot, you know, that you guys are spying on me. You guys are trying to force me to, what's her name said it too? I want to say Jessica Rabbit. It's not Jessica Rabbit. It's Cassandra Fairbanks.
How the hell do you get? Okay.
Do you want me to honestly answer that?
Nope. Come on, let's go to the next one.
It's Cassandra Fairbanks. But Cassandra Fairbanks has essentially. I can answer it.
I don't.
I think I know
please
the.
Don't.
I think I know the
association. Please go to the video.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't need
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
All right.
Let's go to the video.
All right, let's go to the video. So Cassandra Fairbanks had essentially went to the embassy in one of the times, and she detailed in an amazing article, security essentially spying on Assange, them forcing her into a room that wanted to essentially keep track of what was taking place. She was able to hear the argument between Assange and his captors. And I'm saying captors only in the sense that if Assange walked out, he knew he was going to be arrested. And the new people who were in charge when Moreno took office, it was a different thing that was taking place. They have video of what was taking place inside the embassy itself captured on security camera. Now this is really short, but it gets across that they were spying on him while he was in the embassy. And this is like the little room.
Where's his bed?
I don't know. I mean, that's assuming he even had a bed.
Who is that person? Do we know?
I don't know. It might be. I don't know who that is. But look how tiny that is.
Yeah.
And imagine living in something like this for 7 years. 7 years. For that matter, imagine just living in your house for 7 years. Like, what do
we were in that hotel room in Barcelona for 2 weeks, and I thought one of us was going to die.
Yeah.
I thought one of us was going to take the other one out.
Yeah. I mean, it is not easy, man.
I can imagine.
It's funny. We walked into that hotel in Barcelona. It was like, no, this is not going to work. I think, like,
I was trying to be optimistic.
Yeah, she was being optimistic. I was like, this is not going to work. You were right. I mean, we made it through it, but Jesus for Christ.
Benno Witter says, any thoughts on Mike Gravel? Hashtag Gravelange. Do you have any thoughts on Mike Gravel? I'm not familiar with Mike Gravel.
He's a politician. Gravel has been in politics for a while. I remember Gravel when he was in politics several years ago. I was much younger. But look, this is Assange's lawyer. I just want to show this part before we end it. And she makes extraordinarily good points, and she is amazing. So let's hear her talk about Assange's case.
Just finally, this is a man who spent 7 years in a room at the Ecuadorian embassy. I mean, we've all seen the footage of him, emerging from the Ecuadorian embassy. A lot of allegations and rumours over the relationship breakdown, including that he spread feces on the walls. I mean, what has it been like for him living in there?
I think the first thing to say is that Ecuador has been making some pretty outrageous allegations over the past few days to justify what was an unlawful and extraordinary act in allowing British police to come inside an embassy.
So it's not true then?
That's not true. Look, it's a difficult situation. I've been visiting him in the embassy throughout this 7-year period. He hasn't had access to the outside. He's been inside a room, effectively, as you said, for more than 7 years. People have children who are 6 and 7 years old. For your child's entire life, this man has been inside a room in quite difficult circumstances. Now, the politics of the case with respect to Ecuador changed with the change of government, with Lenin Moreno coming to power. And ever since then, inside the embassy, it's become more and more difficult, to the point where even Human Rights Watch said it was akin to solitary confinement. So he's had a very difficult time. It's not been easy. And to suggest that someone would choose to remain in there without legitimate concerns about US extradition, which is exactly what was proven this week, I think people can't really understand what it would be like to live in a room like that for a very long time. It's not been easy.
For just one last point on that, she's right. It is hard to empathize in those situations. Like, it really is. It's hard for me to say, what would it be like if I lived in a little room for 7 years.
7 years, yeah.
And I'm doing so for principle, don't get me wrong. And I'm realizing that I am somewhat of a political prisoner in this, because the moment that I walk out, I'm going to be extradited by an imperial power back into their imperial domain.
You're trapped.
You're trapped.
It's like solitary confinement.
Right. It literally is solitary confinement. You don't have access to medical attention. You don't have access to sunlight, like talking about. You're in a constant situation where you're being monitored. You know you're being monitored. You know they're doing things to fuck with you. You know they're putting out information to make you look bad and to smear you. You know all of the stuff. And yet, you sit there, isolated, cut off. It's hard to fathom what it would be like to be in that situation. It's not easy, man. I can't, for that matter, I can't imagine what Martin Luther King did when he was sitting in prison. You're detached. You know these people hate your guts. And you even know that if you are taking back to the empire that people were talking about killing you.
Yeah.
Like, this is not, an easy situation to be in. So, my heart goes out to Julian Assange. The stuff is below at the bottom within the box itself for you guys to see for yourself in regards to what they're doing for protesting and everything else. Anything else to say on this, babe?
No, somebody asked, did you say Boston? But yes,
Boston.
One of the cities on the list was Boston, so check that out. But even somebody, I thought they said the website wasn't working, but click on it one more time just so that I can read it out loud.
It's popularresistance.org/Julie, but it's at the bottom. It's literally at the bottom of the description box.
What I'm saying is somebody saying that it just pulled up PDFs, she said, but just type that in, popularresistance.org, and search for Julian Assange. He's testing the link now just to see what's what. Okay.
It works.
All right, well, check it out.
All right. So, I woke up this morning, and oftentimes, for whatever reason, my wife gives me bad news when I wake up in the morning.
It's not bad.
and to be honest with this, I don't know if it's good or bad news.
It's important news. If I'm sitting somewhere, again, let's go back to the very first show that I did. It was during the Trump, the State of the Union. I am here as a guest on this show, just like my first time being on the show, as the non-political voice, I guess, or perspective. So if I'm sitting somewhere and in my non-political life, news keeps popping up and I keep seeing stuff, I bring it to you because if you're not already covering it. Mm-hmm. So when you're asleep and I log on to my Facebook and I see fucking Jimmy Dore has left TYT in 4 different places, yes, I come in to you asleep and say, babe, you know Jimmy Dore left TYT? And he said, how do you know? And I said, my inside connections. Now, the truth of that is, I don't remember where the first one was, but the second one where I pulled it up and was like looking at the headlines was actually in the Progressive Soapbox Facebook group. Because I keep an eye on that one. But I thought that it was important and you would want to know. And you were literally sleeping on it.
Well, I know, right? I was sleeping on it.
And I was able to find like 3 other videos that people had done.
Talking about it.
Saying...
Dore's leaving.
Dore's left. Not leaving. Left. And I was like, oh yeah, you need to get up.
Now, my first thought was like, all right, that's big news. That's the first thought. Second thought was, how do you know? And then, because I need to, because it's important.
How do you know? Like, he wasn't really giving me credit.
It's not that I wasn't giving you credit. I've learned the hard way that when people give you stuff, the first and the best response is to disbelieve. Now, that sounds prickish, that sounds cynical, but it's for my own benefit because I tend to be believing. You know what I mean? It's like I have to take the opposite approach because I have to give myself evidence to get to that point of the belief, if that makes sense. That's my own thing. That's the only thing that I've helped do in the show because it allows me to be a little bit skeptical before saying it to my audience.
Even when I say.
Yes. Well, because I need to see the primary source also. Meaning I need to see where you're getting this from. And then when I can see where you're getting this from, at that point I can say, okay, this. But it's not me. It's not that I disbelieve you telling me. It's more so I don't know where you get your source. And I need to be agnostic towards it. Before, I need to exist in a bubble of being above it all before accepting it.
Okay. Wait. Before we do that, before we move on to this massive story that... So one of the...
It's not really massive. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really mean anything
I'm going to say it's...
I mean, massive to us.
In this...
It's big to us.
Arena, like in your sandbox, like you say.
I'm agreeing with you. It's big to us.
But let me finish what I'm saying. I was actually going to say that this was also one of the topic suggestions that was listed for the patron show today.
So we're nailing those.
Someone said, let's talk about how Jimmy Dore finally left TYT. I'm going to tell you who it was. Chris Garman brought that up. And so, but I was going to say, before you go that, are you going to talk about the Calvin, the gravel Benno Witter wants to know, or Gravel has the most progressive platform. Please check it out, he's saying.
I like Mike Gravel. And Gravel has been in politics for a while. He did, if I am not mistaken, during was it the healthcare debate? It was one of these debates. He was under Obama, though, where he came out swinging. And
I don't remember Gravel.
I remember Gravel. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Gravel has ran for president before. I have to look him up, but I remember Gravel. I distinctly remember him.
I believe you. I'm not as
him.
doubting as you are, so I believe you.
All right, so but
we'll have to look into that. But yeah, I have it on mine because I don't. If something pops up and I'm like, I don't know who the hell that is, it goes on my paper.
Yeah, I remember Mike Gravel.
So we'll have to check him out. So thank you to Benno who sent a couple of super chats to get us to check out Gravel. So on to the next.
So Dore leaving TYT.
Gravel.
Gravel.
DZ says Gravel is pronounced Gravel.
Gravel. Okay, my bad.
Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry. We're sorry.
Butchering his name. But we'll check out Gravel.
But it is. But I mean, to be fair, it
looks like gravel.
Spelled like gravel.
He needs to have those dots.
He needs to have 2 L's or like ELLE. Gravel.
His mama messed up.
Okay. Anyway.
All right. So the Dore and Cenk Uygur TYT thing. I woke up this morning fascinated by this, and anything that we were going to do for the patron appreciation was essentially ripped up, at least in half, because this was something that I knew the audience was going to want to talk about. I am going to allow call-ins on this.
Are we?
We are going to allow call-ins. You're going to be the person who are making sure those call-ins stay short.
Oh, I can do that. Did you see how big my eyes got? I can definitely do that.
Well, maybe we shouldn't. I mean, that might be a bad idea.
What do you guys think? Call-ins?
No, let's leave it to this.
You want to do that?
No.
Maybe you can do that on a different show.
I'll do that on my own show. I'll let people call in on my own show.
Really quick before we get off of the Gravel topic. Excuse me. Amir Farior says, play Gravel's 2008 presidential campaign ad. So
see,
you're right.
I knew it.
Did run.
Yeah, I knew it.
So we'll check that out. Maybe we'll look at maybe a separate video on Gravel.
Yeah, to do this campaign thing. You okay?
Sorry. Oh, look, my coffee mug. See my mug? Nobody cares about that? Okay.
All right, so Cenk Uygur, TYT, Jimmy Dore. This topic, I gotta be honest, is entirely and utterly fascinating to me. We are creatures of the left, or at the very least I am. And I've always said Jimmy Dore is in my sandbox. He's firmly in my sandbox.
He's been on the show a few times.
He's been on the show a few times.
You've been on his show?
No, I have not.
Oh, sorry.
I have not. He invited me on his show.
Let's move on from that.
But he never...
Let's move on from that.
He never played the video after he invited me on the show.
He's been on the show quite a few times.
He invited me on the show for a debate. And I went on the show for a debate.
Wait, we're moving on from that.
And it was never aired.
That's fine.
It was never aired. Well, part of it was aired. I aired when I asked him questions on it. Like the questions that, like, what's next for Dore and that type of stuff. So, but I've never been on the show. He's been on mine. Dore is firmly within my sandbox. Love the guy to death. In 2016, Dore was one of the lone voices who essentially say, I am not voting for Clinton. The beauty of Dore making that, it wasn't pushed. Like, he had to come to his own realization. Like, meaning somebody who voted Democrat under normal circumstances was in a situation like many of the lefties saying, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Your dad came to that realization, which shocked the hell out of me. You know, because him and I have had conversations on this. But in Dore's case, Dore went to a Trump thing. I never forget it. And he comes back, because if you remember, Anna said she's not voting for Clinton early on. And as time went on, she essentially took the line of, you gotta vote Clinton.
Fall in line.
Dore went to a Trump convention, came back white as a ghost. Like, where he was
that.
Well, he kind of was like, God, man, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can vote.
He said he was scared or terrified or something.
It was like he was at a hate rally.
Shook.
Yeah, he was at a hate rally. Now, eventually, though, he came around to this. I was like, look, I can't do this. You're not going to beat me into form to force me to vote for this woman. That type of stuff. And in doing so was directly against his own network. Meaning what his network wanted. His main network show where Cenk Uygur comes out and says, I'm not telling you to vote for Hillary Clinton, but God damn it, you gotta vote for Hillary Clinton. And does like a 16-minute video of him thrashing about saying people must vote for Hillary Clinton, essentially burning the reputation of his network because she lost. Even after doing that, she lost, trying to get all those lefties on supposedly a lefty progressive network. And at every moment of the day that he can tell you, I'm deeply progressive. deeply progressive. Every moment. Now, this person who tells you breathlessly how deeply progressive they are, for whatever reason, keeps being on the other side of progressive issues. So, the vote Hillary Clinton thing, progressives for the most part say, yeah, fuck that, we're not doing that. The network, not so much. The Russia thing, fuck that, not so much. Meaning they burn their reputation again with this idea of Trump and Russia. And then Dore's like, this is nonsense. And again, he finds them on opposite ends of this kind of tennis ball. And then when it finally comes out, objective reality with Mueller saying, look, we could find no association between Trump and Russia in this regard. We may say that Russia has something to do with it, but we can't find any association with Trump on this. But this is after 3 years of the network saying that, they're conspiracy theorists, that at some point Mueller is going to, come out and they'll see the light when they're coming, Trump is out of handcuffs. They were wrong. Completely wrong. And castigated Michael Tracy, Jimmy Dore, meaning elements of their own staff, and being wrong. Now, Dore, in this case, took it. And he took the opposite opinion, even though he was clearly pissed off. You could see him in some of the shows. I remember in one of his live shows, Cenk calls into the show because of something that was said on air. And Dore was pissed off at his wife, because his wife allowed something to be said on air, which showed you that there was some kind of friction between what was going on between him in the main show, dealing with the election and dealing with the Trump and Russia issue. So you have this perpetual friction that seems to be going on within the network within these different political opinions. Now, I don't know what happened that finally broke the camel's back, where he said, I can't do this anymore, I'm done. And this seems sudden because I don't know what took place in those intervening times. But somebody, I told you I had inside sources to me once before that there's friction within the way Dore's using the show, and Dore's going to leave. And I was like, there's no way. Yeah. I didn't believe it.
Well, I think not everyone, but I heard a lot of talk over months, year.
Yeah.
Saying, when is he going to leave?
When is he going to leave? Everybody kept
He can't stay at TYT for forever. He's too progressive for TYT. He doesn't fall in line. I can't believe he's still with TYT.
And my argument was, it's a network. You can have people with different political opinions on a network. And I like him being there to challenge the point of view of the main show.
It keeps them a little bit more.
It keeps them honest.
Yeah.
At least more so. But then but simultaneously though, it gives it credibility, which people didn't want to do.
Right. And there's a lot of, in our comments on this video earlier, they started the conversation about Jimmy leaving TYT, and a lot of people were saying, how many subscribers is TYT going to lose now?
That's an interesting point, right?
Because there is a lot of their base, a lot of their subscribers, I believe, that Jimmy carried.
He did. Well,
are they leaving now?
Think about the arguments with Cedar. In those videos where Cedar would attack Dore, Cedar's dislikes will be through the roof.
Yeah.
Like some of those videos, like whether it's like you'd have people who were overlap with Cedar and Dore and TYT and the main show and everything else. But the question becomes, how much of that overlap is Dore? Like how much of that? Now, this doesn't mean that people are just going to leave, because it seems like they left on good terms, at the very least from an overt standpoint. And just because they're pulling away from TYT, I mean, you have to be subscribed to both. Not, you know what I mean? You could be both. You could say, I like the difference in points of view from both sides. So you can have that corporate Democrat wing and that other type of wing. So it doesn't necessarily mean that people peel away, but it does mean Dore used to give them a certain degree of credibility that doesn't necessarily exist with him gone.
And someone also mentioned that TYT has more subscribers, but Dore gets more views.
That's interesting.
So I don't know, but Robert Pookie Ray says, thank you, Robert, for the super chat. He says, a clue from Jimmy's quote, and Tucker defends Assange at 7 minutes. Jimmy says, telling the truth takes courage and will lose you friends. I quote John Lennon, when the truth pisses off your friends, get better friends.
Yes, because imagine what that means.
So he's like, that's foreshadowing.
Imagine what that means. Well, I don't know, what was TYT's point of view on Assange, though? I thought they were on board. I thought they were on Assange's side on this. I mean, TYT doesn't take every opposing issue. Like the Ilhan Omar thing. They protected Ilhan. I mean, in fact, I was proud of the lefties on that one. The lefties almost uniformly stood up with this idea of what you're attacking her on is nonsense. Lobbyists do take a huge thing into cash. And this was even in the sense of splitting, like, where some Democrats peeled off. So, you know, it's not like they take it on every issue. But on the Dore issue, there was friction there. There had to be. There had to be. I mean, you could look at him. I mean, like, even there was an interview I did with Dore. Do you remember this? At one of the I asked him what was it like being at TYT. Oh, I know what it was. It was at one of the People's Summit. Was that it? The thing I went to, I think it was in Pennsylvania or Chicago, one of those. And I got the interview with Dore. It was quick. You know, they eventually shooed me away after like 1 or 2 questions.
I wasn't at that one, but I remember that one.
But the question I asked him had to do with the friction that was taking place when he was at TYT during the election. And he seemed to be candid. It was just kind of like, well, yeah, it's difficult to go along a path when your friends go a different path. Like, you know, for the most part, these guys have been on the same side with pushing Sanders, and then all of a sudden, not so much. And it's this difficult thing where you're on opposing ends of your friends. And I know this for myself. And, you know, I went with Jalil, where, you know, after a while, it's like, dude, I need you. You know, it's like, let's call this a day. You can't make this work.
Someone says, Black FA 508 says, Dore basically called out Cenk for just finally saying something about Assange. I don't know that. I didn't see that.
Okay, so, yeah, I didn't see it either.
Potentially. Dore supported looking up Lula, so I mean the hypocrisy of that is about as messed as it gets. I'm not sure what that one is about. Yeah. TYT adores someone like Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, wait. Is he saying locking up Lula?
Yep, maybe.
Oh, there's no way Dore was okay with locking up Lula. I don't believe that. I need to see that video. I need to see the link. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. Yeah, I don't believe that at all. I mean, unless he was trying to find some corruption charge.
It's like, since the 2016 elections and Hillary's loss, TYT has like spiraled, and it's split a lot of progressives. I mean, I used to
binge watch
TYT.
Especially doing the Sanders thing.
And then it was like, I remember, and they were like, whisper a dream.
Yeah, whisper a dream.
Every time, like, Sanders was going to win. And it was, you know, and then it started getting really
They started doing the Russia thing.
It started getting shitty.
Do you remember they did the Trump thing?
Switched to Hillary.
Well, right, they switched to Hillary, and then they did Trump.
And then everything was like a down with Trump kind of.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, they did 100 days of like how dumb Trump is, like before the election or something like that. Like, it was just odd stuff. And then to put it in perspective, when Hillary, there was a time where Bernie Sanders went out and he gets booed for a minute. All of these lefties.
That was when he said that they should vote for Hillary.
Yes, right. And so if Cenk is doing that, what is that going to happen? You know what I mean? Like, you burn a certain degree of reputation. There's going to be some people who say, okay, he's right. We got cheated and all this other stuff, but okay, I'll vote for Hillary. There's some people who do that. But there's some people who would be spiteful of the fact that they would do that. Meaning, you're going to split your base.
Yeah,
you're going to split the people who watch you, and there are going to be some people who just stop watching you because of it.
Patricia Hauser says, Dore's video yesterday talking about TYT having their nose up near Tandon's butt.
Really? That was probably the last straw.
The final straw. It's the one about Tulsi defending Assange on CNN. So maybe check that one out. Also, Zuggy the chess god, thank you for the super chat.
No, he's fucking with me.
Zuggy says,
wait, he's fucking with me with that name. Cause I was playing chess the night when I had like 9. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's fucking funny. I was playing chess all night that day for 9 hours, and one of the guys, I was going back and forth, but eventually I got to the point where I pushed my rating to like 1900 that day. But one of the guys who kept coming up in the thing, because I don't choose who I play, I press a button, was this guy named Zuggy, the chess god. And his name was Zuggy. And Zuggy kept fucking me up. He kept beating me. It didn't matter what my rating was. My rating could be like 18 something, and Zuggy will win. And he played like 3 or 4 games, and he beat me every game. And then I look up and I see somebody named Zuggy, the chess god. That's one of
So he's playing on the fact that
I got my ass kicked back on him, Zuggy.
All right, so he says, Zuggy, the chess god, who was apparently there when you binged Chess Live for 9 hours straight that night. Pretty much. He says, I wish I could see Anna's face when all the premiums cancel, and she realizes how little and how few people care about her lack of filter or her clothing.
You know what? That's what we need to watch. Mental note. How do we know that? How do we find out? How do we find the number of members that they have or the number of subscribers count? Can we see that? We can look at that. We can check their subscriber count.
Also, someone mentioned this before, and they're talking about it again. Apparently, Jimmy Dore had to buy his channel from TYT. I can imagine that. I mean, that makes sense. People were saying why,
because
but
it was originally a TYT channel.
Originally a TYT channel, so he owned the rights. Balthazar says TYT straight up gave Nira a platform to tandem skydive, her insane platform without challenge.
Did she?
I can't wait until TYT gets destroyed.
Wait. You said
funding.
TYT gave Nira Tandon a platform? Where?
TYT straight up gave Nira a platform to tandem skydive, her insane platform without challenge.
Wow.
This is from Balthazar. So put that on your list to check out, Balthazar. Trudy says, 8/4/2016. Tulsi says, Tulsi said, I'm voting for Hillary Clinton. Just saying.
Wait. Say that again.
This was August 4th, 2016. Tulsi said, I'm voting for HC. Just saying.
You don't know that means Hillary Clinton.
Who else was that mean?
Heidi
Klum? Oh no, that's a K.
Heidi Klum. Oh, that's a K. Hernando
Chavez.
Yeah, Chavez. He was running.
So racist.
He was running in Guatemala for dog catcher or something. You don't know that, Trudy.
Nobody's getting the tandem skydiving joke. LOL. # blue skies. I know what I thought it was tandem skydiving.
I think that's what he's
you
playing
skydive
on.
with
I know, but I know he's.
I didn't get the joke. You're right.
Near Tandon.
Herman Cain.
Herman Cain. She voted for Herman Cain.
That's worse, isn't it?
But we're in Guatemala for dog catcher. I mean, he's still in Guatemala. We just need a name. I like Hernando
Chavez.
Yeah, in Guatemala. That's more racist.
Hosea Chauberstein. I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, look, I didn't hit Sanders for saying vote Clinton. I mean, I understood it. I got it. I didn't like it.
It's still painful.
It's painful. I mean, and I don't necessarily think it's easy for him to stand up there and say vote Clinton. I mean, to some degree, you're locked in certain. You know, you decide to run for Democratic president. What do? Don't you have to? You know, and what would we think if Hillary Clinton lost and then wouldn't support Sanders? Like, you know, that gets a little, you know. Our argument will be.
Say that if you're running on the Democratic ticket, you have to agree to.
You have to agree to endorse
the winner.
And to be fair, Tulsi might have said that, but she also burned her reputation with the Democratic Party in order to support Sanders. So it's true that she might have said vote, you know, but understand what she had to give up in order to even get to that point. Just saying. Just saying.
I think you talked about this on the video while we're talking about. No, I'm not going to bring that up. Where is Sanders?
Where's Blarney Sanders?
Anybody seen Bernard?
That's a good point, Trudy. Where is Bernie Sanders?
You didn't say that. I said that.
No. I'm just asking. I mean, I understand that Tulsi had to vote for Hillary Clinton, but at this moment when Julian Assange is being extradited back to the United States, where is one Blarney Sanders?
I mean, I get it. It's just people are telling him to stay quiet. Just like they're quiet on the reparations thing.
I wanted him to stay quiet on the reparations thing. I wanted him to shut the fuck up.
Do you want him to stay quiet on Julian Assange extradition?
No, I don't. I think the reparations thing is a clear loss.
And to be fair, he did actually say something about that.
Well, he's moved to the left position on that. Like, he's moved further to the left. From my understanding, he was talking about
Julian Assange.
Yeah, he shut up about Assange. Paging one Bernie
Edward
Sanders.
Klein says Bernie's quiet as a church mouse.
Yes, he is.
Maybe he's in church praying for Assange.
It's been days, and I've heard nothing from Sanders on this.
Don't you have like his email? Can you gotta? Don't y'all? You got contacts?
He always just tells me send him money. You just
I get those emails.
Send $27.
I get those emails too. Actually, why are we talking about Bernie?
And by the way, I don't mind sending Sanders $27. And this doesn't change my perspective on Sanders. Meaning, it doesn't stop me from voting for Sanders at all. Sanders still gets my vote. It's still the horse that I'm riding. I just kind of want to know what a horse is. Where's my horse?
While we're on the topic of Bernie Sanders and asking for money, I ordered bumper stickers.
You got those bumper stickers.
It's been like a month and a half.
But you got them.
But why did it take so long? I know it's not Amazon. I understand. But I ordered those bumper stickers a long time ago.
I don't know, babe. This seems a little like petty.
And I get the emails too when they're like, this is a great time. This is an important time.
But you weren't
We need money now.
But you weren't giving him money for the bumper stickers. You were giving him money to support the campaign.
I was giving him money to support the campaign, but I went separately and paid money for bumper stickers.
I think this is why we have a different perspective of the patron appreciation.
Why?
Because I don't look at it as
What you talking about?
when I give to somebody, I'm giving it because I'm giving it, as opposed to getting something back in return other than whatever they're giving.
No, it's one thing. Okay, so they sent me an email saying if you give today, you can get a bumper sticker.
I got that too.
That's fine. If I gave under that premise, that's one thing. But I gave and then completely separate went and paid my money for my bumper sticker.
So you're saying I bought a bumper sticker?
Right, I did. I paid for a bumper sticker.
I see.
Not I'm mad because the freebie didn't get here fast enough.
But you can't blame Sanders for that, can you?
Why not?
I mean, he's trying to run a campaign.
He emailing me all the time. He could have saved 2 of them 17 emails I got last week and got on the line and mailed out bumper stickers for the day.
I'm just saying, this seems a little petty. Petty.
Somebody said, where'd it go? Please Recycle says, I get texts from Bernie's team and told them I won't donate until they speak on Assange. Maybe that's what they should do.
Maybe, like, you're talking about putting emphasis or putting pressure.
George Papag says, send Jamal $27. Another super chat from Balthazar. Thank you. Says, as far as I'm concerned, Mike Gravel will be the only person who will say what I do desperately need: a full teardown of the Democratic Party failure.
Let's find him.
While you're doing that, do you want me to do my story?
Go for
Since
it.
it's a really short one.
Well, I don't think your story is all that short.
It's not my story, but you know what I'm talking about? You want me to go into that one?
Wait a minute. Mike Gravel's
2008. Trudy, I think it was Trudy who said it was actually a VP bid.
2008 ad. There it is. I remember him. I totally remember this cat. It was, yeah, there it is. Mike Gravel, this is why I remember him, because it was so bizarre.
I think this is going to be familiar to me. Go ahead.
I think this is going to be familiar to me.
I think I'm going to remember. Once I see
wait. Before we do this, Cenk Uygur responds on this. Before we clean the story up.
To Jimmy
Cenk
Dore?
Uygur responds to Dore here.
Okay, what
and
does he
Cenk
say?
Uygur essentially says, I had plenty of disagreements with Jimmy Dore in the last year, but I always believed in him.
And still do. What do you do? What the hell? What the fuck is this?
That's the Gipper. Hold on.
What are we looking at? These beautiful women, we don't need to see them right now. Okay, there we go.
All right. I had plenty of disagreements with Jimmy Dore in the last year, but I always believed in him and still do. He left the Young Turks Network today, but he did it with incredible grace. I was proud to have him with us and be an independent voice checking us as he does all media.
I like that he acknowledges.
He has to.
Jimmy was checking your ass.
Oh, yeah.
Checking us.
But
why? Because he's the more progressive voice.
Well, I guess he's trying to say Jimmy was keeping him honest. I guess the question
So without Jimmy...
Well, here's the question.
They're going to be dishonest?
Did Jimmy think that TYT was being disingenuous? That's the question. Right? So, let me explain what I mean. When it's one thing for you to work at a network where you just say, I just disagree with their opinions. Like, these guys have different opinions than I do. They believe the Russia stuff. Fair enough. I just disagree with them. It is what it is. We can have these disagreements as gentlemen. We can have these disagreements that are somewhat, I disagree with what the information is. It's another thing, though, if you think that the network's being disingenuous. That's different. Yeah. Meaning they're putting a perspective out that I think is just nonsense, and they think it's nonsense. And I have a sneaking suspicion that they think it's nonsense. At that point, it becomes harder. Because if I'm talking to Dore and I'm saying, do you really believe Cenk on this? I mean, do you think he's, and Jimmy Dore could say with a straight face,
he don't believe it.
I don't believe he's lying. Like, I don't think he's lying. Like, he could say that. It's another thing when you believe they're lying if someone says, Dore, do you honestly believe him? Now Dore's stuck in a position where he has to either lie or tell you the truth, which he can't do either one. Like, it puts you in a really difficult position if you're with somebody who you think is being disingenuous. I'm not saying I know this to be true. I'm asking just this question. I'm asking the question, does it go beyond just ideological differences into, I just don't even trust him?
Will we ever know?
I don't know if you would ever answer that question.
I think Cenk said he left. Cenk.
It's Cenk.
Cenk says he left with incredible grace.
Yeah.
I think he might be a little too graceful to open up that can of worms.
Oh, yeah.
For Jimmy to be out and be like,
yeah, I don't think he'll open.
But it sucks that I do think it sucks that he has to pay for his own show.
Good on Cenk.
How much was that? I wonder how much.
I'm curious on how much you would have to pay for the show. It's kind of like Prince. Do you remember when Prince was going through that time when he was just calling himself a symbol because he didn't own his own name? Like, it's, it's kind of like that. It's
Is
like,
that why he did that? I'm so out of the loop.
Yeah, he didn't own his own records. He didn't own the name at all. It took him a while to get it back. He started going around as symbol because he didn't want to start making money for the record company again.
Joe Boosauce, thank you, says, love the show, Jamal. Can you comment on progressivism or leftism on the black community in general and YouTube? Leftism converting from liberals.
That's interesting, right?
Did you see my face?
Well, that's fascinating. I mean, he has a point. So all of these
converting from liberals.
Think of your dad. Your dad is a perfect example. Great example.
Could you stop talking about my daddy?
No,
Somebody said they thought I was Arab too. That was a little confusing.
It's probably because your name is Aisha and you got the.
I got the what?
You got the beanies.
I got the what?
The beanies. What?
The beanies?
I don't know if those the knots.
They're called Bantu knots. But yeah,
knots.
I feel you. I always like when you try to find the words. But
it's like this.
I guess my
like straight
I don't know if my dad was a liberal, but I mean.
Well, let me explain it. Let me explain it. Because you're jumping in the middle of my sentence, and you're not quite as adept as I am.
I thought that's how we did here. I thought that's how we rolled.
But you're not as adept as I am with that.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
But let me explain it. Your dad and I had a conversation. Aisha's dad and I had a conversation.
Wait a minute. Let me just say right now. Don't talk no shit about my daddy.
I'm not talking shit about your dad.
Because he will come here from where he is and
ain't nobody scared of your dad.
You should be. You should be. Okay, go ahead.
So your dad and I are having a conversation, and I'm telling your dad, I'm explaining everything that I think is wrong with the Democratic Party, and your dad is like, I can't vote for no Republican. If you remember this, he says, I could never vote for a Republican. I can't do it. And I'm not saying vote for a Republican. I'm saying just acknowledge that the Democratic Party is not that much better, that there's a marginal difference, and whether that marginal difference is enough for you to support them. Because, if you're just always marginal and you never really get anything better done, there's an incentive for those people to remain marginal and advantage themselves with the way the system is, because they can always say, oh, that other team is worse. The other team might be worse, but that doesn't mean that you can't be much better than what you are. You're not being much better than what you are on purpose.
I don't remember the conversation because I'm pretty sure that I tried to stay far away from that.
But your dad...
It went surprisingly better than I thought it would.
Yes, but your dad was like...
But I do know he was a blue no matter who kind of...
Yes.
Yeah.
He was like, I can't vote Republicans. Republicans are racist. They're, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Their knuckle drag works. And again, I tried to stress to him, I'm not saying vote for Democrat. I'm just saying acknowledge that the Democratic Party is not your friend, or at the very least is not supportive of you in the way that you need to be.
And what did he say then when you guys had that initial conversation?
I can't vote Democrat. I can't vote Republican. So it needs to be very clear. It wasn't so much that I disagree with what you're saying. There was an agreement. It was just I don't see another option in the process. Fast forward. What does your dad say now?
So when he and I had the conversation a couple months ago, I gotta call my dad too. When he and I had the conversation a couple months ago, he was like, yeah, I'm done with the Democratic Party. They're not getting my vote.
Now, it doesn't mean that he's going to vote
Republican.
Republican.
I don't think he's voting Republican.
But he just acknowledges.
But he was like, I'm just tired of all the BS.
So, right there. That's where you start. Now,
that's what you're talking about? Because my dad is black, not Arab.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So, it's not so much that blacks, go and say, okay, fuck it, I'm going to be a Republican. It's not that. That's what Republicans are trying to do. They're trying to get this kind of dim exit, and they have these people, these blacks, all of a sudden become Republicans. That's nonsense. No, the goal of it is to, at the very least, acknowledge that your current situation...
There's a problem.
There's a problem. That this party has been leveraging identity in order to dissolve issues of economics. And fact of the matter is, the issues of economics, if you're an African American, especially if you care about the rest of the community, is where you need to be. That's where the conversation needs to be, and that's where the conversation is intentionally removed from. They would give you a Cory Booker. They would give you a Kamala Harris. As if the identity in and of itself subsumes everything else. That's
all you should want.
That's all you should want. And not just that,
He's black.
but that the identity itself shows some similarity to you. That just because you're black and they're black, that this is somehow, no. The issue, honestly, the issue is class. The issue that we need to really have the conversation about is class. And that's the conversation that the Democratic Party refuses to have. Because the fact of the matter is, any issue of race, especially if you're talking about black, ends up in a conversation, if you're being honest, about class. And that's the direct conversation that adversely affects their donors. And that's the conversation they don't want to have. So when your dad is saying that, I hear that, I'm like, yes! Not because I want your dad to go pull a lever for Republicans. That would be infinitely worse.
Yeah, I don't think
it's just that I want him to acknowledge that there's a problem in the way that we've organized our politics. And this needs to change. If that means voting Green Party, then that just means voting Green Party. If that's not having somebody to vote for, that's not having somebody to vote for. But it's doing so under the acknowledgement.
Okay, so while we're having this, and this might take us a little bit off topic, but how do you feel about not voting?
I don't like not voting.
You know what I mean? Like, if I don't have someone who represents my values,
then that is your vote. Then not vote is your vote. But that's not you not voting.
A lot of people feel that way. Like, you should vote.
I know.
Your ancestors fought for your right to vote. Don't throw away your vote.
But that's not throwing away your vote.
Who do I vote for if I don't see anybody?
I disagree that that's throwing away your vote. It's one thing for you to be lazy and just say, fuck it, I'm not going to vote. It's another thing to make a conscious choice of, I have nobody in this process that advances my aims in a real legitimate way. Hell, you might even say, I have red lines in this process. I have nobody in this process that is supportive of Medicare for all, so I have nobody to vote for. That's a vote. Like, understand what I mean? That's not you.
I know, but you know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying, but I'm also
going
making
to the ballot and casting a vote is what I'm talking about.
Well, if you feel the need, go to the ballot, write something in. Go to the ballot, leave it empty. Like, whatever you need to do, but it is a conscious, willful choice at that point that you're making, that nobody in this process advances the aims to which I'm trying to get past. And my vote is either to not vote or to write this in. Even if they throw it away after I write it in, fuck it, I'm writing it in. I'm sorry, I don't... It makes all the sense in the world that African Americans will pitch their lot to the Democratic Party, especially 60s, 70s, 80s. There's history here. Like, there's the historical precedence here that is legit and that warrants consideration, especially when you look at the other party and you see how the other party behaves. By the same token, you look at the world and think, can I get more? Are we okay with the way the world is and the way the status quo has organized itself? And while it's true that there is something to be said that this party agrees with me on issues of identity, meaning in a sense, and not even fully agrees with me looking at what's taking place with Ilhan Omar, but let's say on the basics of, look, we shouldn't be racist and hateful. That's a low bar. I'm sorry, that's a low bar. And so, I look at this other stuff and think, well, race is intrinsically linked to economics. And for them to try to rip these two away as if Martin Luther King was just this kind of dreamer that cared about social progress from the standpoint of race is somewhat disingenuous and dishonest. Mm-hmm. Democrats can't have an honest argument about economics because that argument affects their donors. When Sanders comes out and has these conversations, we have the record levels of income inequality. And they can't have the conversation about income inequality in any real meaningful way. So Elizabeth Warren comes up with a wealth tax. But the rest of the other Democrats, mum. Yes, blacks have finally gotten to the point where they believe that, okay, this doesn't seem to be working for us. We want somebody who represents our interests in real legitimate ways, and that's just beyond, oh, you're black, we're okay with you being black. This goes into what is in my wallet. How, this ability to live, this ability to be able to live a decent, meaningful life. Where you're not struggling, where you're not working constantly around the clock in order to make ends meet, where you can raise your kids without having these monumental levels of debt. And by the way, this goes beyond just you being black. This goes beyond, this goes into issues of class that affects the overwhelming majority of all of us. The argument that needs to be had here is one of class, not entirely one of race. They intersect. And yeah, the Democratic Party seems to be increasingly not able to have that conversation. So when blacks have gotten to the point of saying, okay, yeah, Trump is in office. This is the worst that it can get. I'm not just going to accept any random person who's put up. That's a positive thing, man.
On that same topic, Trudy says, thank you, Trudy, for the super chat. Trudy says, we unite or superdelegates choose Trump.
There's that too.
Then we have another super chat.
And just be clear what Trudy means on that. You have to get it in the first round. That's her point. Because the superdelegates haven't gone anywhere. The superdelegates are still there.
Right.
So in round 2, those superdelegates are unleashed. They can go with anybody. So right now, they may be chained to the state or whatever, but in round 2, the reporters are going to say, hey, if they can't get the nomination in the first round, who are you going to vote for? And they're going to put that number up beside somebody's name. And even if Sanders gets a predominant, if there is not enough for him to win kind of like an overwhelming way, it goes to superdelegates. And at that point, it's a walk.
Yeah.
So, Trudy. Yes, Trudy. It has to be one in the first round.
Peter version 1 says, not sure if you've heard of it. Could be wrong. Rokana said Nancy Pelosi is the only Democrat to fight against Trump and win. Also behind 10 minutes.
The only
Rokana said Nancy Pelosi is the only Democrat.
What did she mean by
to fight against Trump and win?
But what does that mean? Oh, did she means the debt ceiling thing? Like the border wall thing? That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, Nancy Pelosi wasn't in office at the time of the healthcare thing when they tried to get rid of Obamacare. The only thing I can think of is the border wall.
Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't. Or he doesn't give more. No, I was looking to see if they elaborated. I don't see.
I mean, that's the only thing I think of.
Yeah.
Like if Rokana came out and said it. Rokana has come out also against what the DCCC is doing. The Democratic War thing, the Civil War. Well, he's making the point that, look, you're well, I don't think people realize this. When you're taking an authoritarian approach, one or two things is going to happen. Either you're going to win or you're not. I know that sounds stupid, but it's true. You've positioned yourself in a position where you're creating a certain degree of opposition. And if that opposition is sufficient, your rule is diminished by that much. Like, it's taking that heavy-handed approach oftentimes means that you don't have the power that you think you have. And that in this situation, what they don't realize is that the people who are going to exceed and take out incumbents are going to be unchained. Not just unchained, they're going to be against the party apparatus because it believes the party apparatus was against them.
Right.
The party is creating a distinction. Who do they think they're stopping in this? Who do they think they're stopping? Like, are these members part of your party? And if so, how are you attacking elements that are part of your party? What is this, autoimmune thing that is taking place where some Democrats believe they need to stop other Democrats from getting in the office? And who are the other Democrats that are trying to get in the office? You mean the public?
Yeah.
You mean the public?
The little people.
Yeah.
The little progressive people. Old Gringo, thank you, Old Gringo, says, instead of not voting, maybe third party or write someone in.
Oh, I agree.
Also, DNC is too bougie or bourgeoisie.
Bourgeois.
W.E.B. Du Bois also said, Du Bois also, Lord have mercy, once advocated not voting.
If there's nobody that represents your vote, that is a vote. Like, don't get me wrong, I agree with the third party vote. I vote pretty much in every election that takes place. I think there was like one that I didn't, but up to that point. And I believe it just almost in a religious way, just because of what we had to go through in order to vote, all things being equal. You know, what African Americans had to go through, I feel like, you gotta vote. By the same token, who do you vote for? Third party was my go-to. Jill Stein, and there was a libertarian candidate. Yeah. But if there's nobody to vote for, understand that is your vote. You have all of these people who are running in a race. And you get put in a position where they have your back against the wall. Where they say, like Justin Trudeau, when Trudeau tries to protect the business from criminal charges, it comes out and everybody finds out that Trudeau was essentially trying to stop the government from prosecuting the company that was caught doing something illegal in another country. He's corrupt. It looks massively corrupt. Not just corrupt from an issue of class standpoint. This extraordinarily rich company probably reached out to elements of Trudeau government, put pressure on the Attorney General to say, don't prosecute them. Imagine for the moment that Donald Trump has friends with a company, and that company gets caught doing some kind of crime. And Trump goes to the Attorney General and says, don't prosecute them. And the Attorney General says, no, kick rocks. I'm going to do my job. This is the legal system. I'm going to let the legal system play out. And Trump says, don't do it. I'm goddamn Donald Trump, don't do it. They do it anyway. Trump fires the attorney general, demotes her, puts in somebody else, and that person, of course, is going to come in and let the company go. This comes to light. Everybody finds out, oh my God, did you see Trump was trying to let this company off the hook and fired the attorney general and then kicked him out of the party? Oh my God. Heads would explode. But this is Trudeau. Trudeau does this in Canada. Now, an election is coming up. The Canadian public hates this. The Canadian public looks at this and says, this is massively corrupt. This is the elements of corruption that we hate. We hate it. This is corporate corruption. This is why we can't get ahead. This is why income inequality is bad. This is horrible. And Trudeau is the person who's in charge. The people who Trudeau are going against are knuckle draggers, sexist, in some cases racist, knuckle draggers, mouth breathers. People acknowledge, they know that they're mouth breathers. So you as the voter, Canadian voter, all right, you're in the ballot box. Who do you vote for? Do you vote for the knuckle dragger? Do you vote for the guy that's racist? Or do you vote for the guy that's massively corrupt? You have a week to make the choice. But let us know what your choice is going to be. Now, what do you do in this case? Now, if you're Trudeau, you say, look, I'm not sexist or racist. Yes, I'm corrupt, but I'm not sexist or racist. I'm legalizing weed. So don't you like me in this case? What do you want from me? Yes, I'm corrupt. Like, what do you do with that? What do you, as a voter, do with that situation when you felt like you're against the wall? This guy's marginally better, and he uses the fact that he's marginally better for political advantage to stay in power. What are you going to do? Clearly, I am better than that knuckle dragger. Yes, I'm corrupt, but either you let me be corrupt or the knuckle dragger comes in.
Two evils.
I mean, is that not Clinton versus Trump? Is that not Macron versus Le Pen? Like, is that not Trudeau versus whoever Trudeau is going against? Like, these are the situations that you're put into in one country after the next. And I would imagine that the French's Yellow Vest movement, to some degree, is the response to that. This realization that the political system itself is corrupt and fucked up. And what we want to get through, for some reason, cannot get through a certain degree of intransigence. And the Yellow Vest movement has said, screw politics. We're going to try to get our politics done, don't get me wrong, but we can't get it done in a system that seems to be rigged against us.
Yeah.
And again, this is not just in France. This is in Canada, in the United States. We're put into this situation in one condition after the next. It's like, how do you fix that? Like, how do you fix that? Like, you know, because if you're purely just going through the political system, we're just looking at the political system. We're seeing neolibs in these various countries do exactly what Trudeau, is doing. This is massively corrupt. And he's coming out acting as if she's the problem. Like, how dare she expose this? She should have just been a game player, and that liberals tend to get into fights, and we need to put those fights to the side, so we're getting rid of the people that were exposing corruption out of the party. How dare they expose corruption? This is not, I'm just making a point, this is not just Canada. These are the situations that we're put in as human beings. Lesser of two evils. I am making a point that at a certain point, it is better for Trudeau to lose. It is better for Clinton to lose. It is better for Macron to lose. To get across that marginally better is not good enough. And that your party will continuously fail until your party is something that is admirable and worth voting for. It's not that I think it's easy, it's just that I think it's right. We finished talking about Jackie.
The Natural Progressive says the Tim Canova race shows they will even cheat independents. Just saying, we have a fraudulent election system. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wasn't Tim Canova on...
He was on the show.
Yeah.
He was on Fault Lines also.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking just the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Canova. In fact, he was on Fault Lines when I was on Fault Lines. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
I like Canova. I mean, not to mention, like, he's knowledgeable, but Canova had the balls to say, I'm not going to sit this out. You're not going to throw me to the side. I'm going to run in this race. You cheated me. Why on earth am I going to do anything to support or help your party in this case? His point was that Canova's run would have been far more significant if he was able to pull X number of votes from Wall Smith Schultz to make her lose. Even if he could have made her lose, that would have been significant. But that race, I got to be honest, I have no idea what that race, that race was bizarre. Like, if you remember, they didn't find out what the tally was for like days later. And then they were finding like bags of votes or something. Like, it was just so bizarre. Canova brings the law case against
understood,
us because Canova is like, this election looked utterly absurd, like in the way they ran this election. I don't know if that election had cheating in it, but that election did. I don't think people are crazy for kind of pointing out like this looks a little bizarre. By the way, and just to end this, Jimmy Dore responded to this. One line. It was my pleasure. Thanks for the mention. Seems slightly cold.
Scroll down to this, girls.
Winkle the Bernie Bro. I'm honestly sad to see you split, but you got to do what you got to do.
Is that Winkle?
Yeah, that's him.
Hi, Winkle. You know, I would just like to point out, because we're looking at this again, you always call Winkle the Bernie Bro Winky.
Who, me?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Just what I said. There have been times in history.
All right, wait. Here's Steph. So Steph responds to the woman. You're a solid dude, and it's great working with you and touring with you. The Jimmy Dore Show, XOXO, Steph, also known as the work wife. I thought they were together for real.
I thought that was his real wife.
I thought that was his real
You're
wife.
You're a solid dude, and it's great working and touring with the Jimmy Dore Show, XOXO, Steph, aka work wife. I guess it's just his work wife.
Yeah, I like Steph too. Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way.
Yeah. See, wait. Go back. Put us back on TV, because I want them to put us back on TV. What? Put the screen back on, because I have a comment to say.
Go ahead, babe.
No.
Go ahead, babe.
Put the visual back on. Stop being a dickhead. Put the visual back on. Okay, we see her. There's a GIF here. Okay. I wanted to say, crap, where did it go? Winkle, the Bernie Bro, says, you call me Winky a lot, Jamal. You say Winky. That's why when I saw it today, I was like, Winkle. But Jamal usually says Winky. And Winkle, the Bernie Bro, I bet he doesn't mess it up again after this. Winkle, the Bernie Bro, says, thanks for correcting your man, Mrs. Thomas. You're welcome.
Winky will never be on the show again.
What?
I'm joking.
Somebody said,
I do mess up Winkle. I don't know why. For some reason, I think, you know what it is? The first time I met him, or really was aware of him, I think I was calling him Winky. I think I was calling him Winky. And then somewhere along the line. But you know, when you first get it in your head, it's hard to like correct it later on.
Somebody said, Samuel Orgy said, she said, Orgy? Oh, okay. Samuel Orgy says, she said GIF. The correct pronunciation somewhere is actually GIF.
I thought it was GIF.
The creator of that said it's supposed to be pronounced GIF, and people were like, yeah, we're going to call it GIF. I read that somewhere.
All right, so is that everything with this?
I think that's it. I think so.
Okay.
So we finish up Julian Assange.
I mean, just so we're clear, Jink has to say that, though. He has to.
No. He could say nothing.
No, he has to say that.
I don't think so. I think he could just be like...
Because somebody's going to ask him, Jink, we heard Jimmy Dore left. Do you have anything to say about it? I have nothing to say. Like, this is kind of a point. Saying
nobody went to
nothing
him
is
and
saying a
asked
comment.
him. I mean, like, he went on his Twitter. And...
But you know somebody was going to ask him. He's just been proactive. This is the person who's talking about we're going to reinstate the Democratic Party. like he's not sitting back is not necessarily something he does. And look, I like the comment, by the way. It's a graceful comment.
Okay.
I mean, you know, we've had a lot of chaos, we had a lot of disagreements, et cetera, but at the end of the day, like, you know, not to mention he doesn't want to burn his brand by attacking Dore.
All right.
So what's the next one?
So let me read this first. Zuggy the Chess God is back.
And then we'll show the Grail video.
Zuggy the Chess God is back. He says...
He mocks me with that name every time. It's funny. So I can't help but laughing at that because I had a 9-hour battle. Like, I was battling Zuggy.
You can help it.
We were in combat.
You don't even try.
We were in a cage.
You don't try to help
And Zuggy bested me
don't try to
in front of my audience over and over and over again. What is something you did that you put yourself on the line and put your talents on the line? You were bested. Man versus man.
Well, I'm a chick.
Man that was put down.
So it would be chick versus chick. Or chick versus man, in which case I would crush that shit.
It depends on what you're in, right?
Anytime I put myself out there, I always think about like work stuff, like
And I'm
chapter
assuming
stuff.
Zeddy is a man. So Zeddy.
I don't remember being bested though.
So you don't know what it's like at all. You shouldn't criticize what you don't understand, man.
I'm not criticizing it. I'm criticizing your inability to remove yourself
Pain.
from the pain.
The indelible
Yeah, there you
pain
go.
of losing the second.
Wait.
All right, so let's take a look at Gravel's video.
Okay, do this and then I'll go on.
Which super chats? All right, this was the Gravel video that I remember, I think, unless he had multiple videos. But it was, his videos were always a little strange and off kilter. So, but this is somebody who was running for president.
Is he wasted?
He's not wasted. This is just his video. This is for president.
What's happening?
I'm
I'm so confused. This is not what I remember.
I remember him. I remember this. This is epic.
This is something.
You know who he is. He's staring to his soul.
What the hell is happening?
He's allowing you a good look at him, babe.
Somebody say he's passing gas.
He's watching to see who he is.
Somebody say he's a telepath. He's a king of trolls. He's really good at being still. It's a look of judgment.
It's not judgment.
Throws a walk.
He wants you to see who he is as a man. That's all. Just a man.
Is he gonna pick up a body? What the?
It goes home. Yes! Yes! It's epic! That is epic!
I'm so confused.
That is an epic video! He's like, I'm just a man. I just want you to look at the face of a man. That's all I am. That's all I am. Look at this. I am just a man.
Wait, what's in the rest of it? Because there's more. Are we just gonna watch him walk around the pond?
That's it. He just walks away. For real.
Okay.
That's just it. I'm just a man. I love that. That's an awesome video.
Somebody said there's a version 2 of this.
That's another version?
Can we talk about the fact that Gravel, not gravel, picked up gravel and threw it in the pond? Is that what that's my takeaway.
I love this video.
Lauren says he's making waves.
And that too. Like he's one man can make a ripple that expands all the way out into the rest of the ocean. And him standing there looking into the camera shows you he's just one man. And that one man goes to make a ripple into the ocean. I get it. I think it's epic.
It's not an ocean. It's a little pond.
Well, you can make a case that says
I get it.
one world is just a pond.
All right, so
we're a contained ecosystem of sorts, in the same way that water is a contained ecosystem. 70% of the water of the world is water. It's just a man making a ripple in his environment. I like it.
I just had a thought. I'll talk to you about it later.
Voted for
Benno Witter says, "Can you play the new Gravel video?
That's a new one?
Rock 2.0.
Gravel.
You know, after these rocks.
See, wait. Just so we clear this up, I was joked mercilessly here on my own platform about calling Winky.
Okay, wait.
Winkle.
Wait. This is not the same thing. I've known the existence of this man for about.
And you've kept calling
37 minutes.
And you kept calling him Gravel.
And I called him Gravel because I didn't know.
Right.
And then they corrected me.
Right. And then you kept calling him Gravel.
I just called him Gravel one time.
It's been more than once.
But this is still like the first day, my first introduction of this. You have been communicating. I've heard you on the phone with Winkle, the Bernie bro. You guys have done videos together. You had lunch at that cafe that time.
It's possible he misrepresented himself.
But the rest of it, no.
This
is how it is. This is how it is in my house when he does stuff. He'll say he does that spin. Is it possible that Winky called himself Winky? Winkle called himself Winky? I don't know.
All right, here we go. But yes, I messed up his name. I apologize for messing up his name. I just wanted to make the point that you are also butchering.
I think his name should be Gravel. He's out here throwing rocks, and now we're about to pull up something called Rock 2.0.
So here's Gravel. Rock 2.0.
See? He should be called Gravel.
Rebel.
I think he's doing a play on the fact that his name is spelled
Gravel. All right, let's see. Let's see what we got. Wait, we got. Okay. All right, let's see.
If he rises up.
But let's maybe bring up the topic of the day, which is the Green New Deal.
How much will this cost? That's unclear. How will we pay for it? Unknown.
It's not realistic.
Because there's no way to pay for it.
It's immoral.
The younger generation now tells me how tough things are. Give me a break. No. I have no empathy.
I'm guided by the beauty of our weapons.
I think Medicare for all is one of the possible paths.
So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy. This was a little controversial in San Francisco.
He did ask you yes or no. Would you support free college for all?
I am not for free four-year college for all, no.
Look at his old man shoes.
He's coming out of retirement. He's coming out of retirement!
You spit on me!
Are being killed as I speak to you
that was Al
tonight.
Pacino.
Killed as a direct result of policy decisions we as a body have made.
You fucking spit on me.
This approach of war on drugs has not succeeded. We've spent billions of dollars on it.
And we fill up our prisons to the point where we're the embarrassment of the world. We're supposed to be a democracy. We've got more people in prison, 2.3 million people in prison.
We spend more as a nation on defense than all the rest of the world put together. This whole nation should be a sanctuary for the world. I'm ashamed as an American to be building a fence on our southern border. That's not the America that I fought for. Our soldiers died in Vietnam in vain. You can now, John, go to Hanoi and get a Baskin-Robbins ice cream cone.
Why do they hate us so in so many places around the world?
Because we kill so many people who want them.
Yes!
I'll include you too. You have a certain arrogance. You wanna tell the Iraqis how to run their country.
Look at them laughing.
In 5 years, we can get off of carbon in 10 years. All we got to do is want to do it. Just play get out. It's their country. They're asking us to leave, and we insist on staying there. The military-industrial complex not only controls our government, lock, stock, and barrel, but they control our culture.
He's getting my vote.
He's getting old.
He's getting my vote. I don't care. He's getting old. He's
Your
getting
vote on what?
He's running for president. Right? Yeah. He's getting my vote. I am donating to Gravel today to get him on that stage. Easy. Yeah, easy. God, I love that video. Like, it's epic. I mean, like I said, the first video, honestly, man, like...
I like this one better than the first one. The first one was...
Well, it was a little bit more... you had to think about the first one, but that was kind of his point. People looking at it, like,
once somebody said he's making waves, I was like, okay, I get that.
It wasn't somebody, I said that.
Well, somebody on here said it.
I was sitting right here with you.
Before
See, she never likes to give me credit for things. That's why we get into kind of, like, push sometimes. I was sitting here, and I'm literally like, it's a man confronting and making waves. He's throwing the rock in to make waves.
Did you say he's making waves?
Yes, I said he's making, and I even went so far as to say it is an enclosed.
Saw it in the comment here.
Well, I don't know at the exact moment
well,
that
that's
you saw
the question that's at hand.
That's the question you're making. It's an enclosed ecosystem, just like Earth.
We'll play the tape later.
And it's one man throwing a rock. One man can make a difference. One man can make waves. That's the way I take it. Now, for this is just as epic because he is bringing the candidates into the process and saying, look at what these people are for. I don't care what they're going to say later. Look at what these people are for out of their own mouth. And this is what I am against. And he goes on showing he was against it, like, looks like 30 years before Bernie Sanders was born.
That's inappropriate. Can we talk about this dude is definitely older than Bernie Sanders? I mean, the cane, and then if you notice, the rock he picked up the second time was significantly smaller than the rock of the first time.
Why are you an age racist? You're racist against the
I'm just
saying,
age. If you're gonna hit my guy Bernie because he's a little above average age,
but I don't think you should hit any of them
right here.
Look, the only question that is really needs to be asked of a candidate is, can they do the job? Yes or no? That's it. Can he do the job? Now, I would like him to have Bernie Sanders as his vice president because, you know, when he dies or something in office, I want to make sure that the next person is a healthy, vigorous person. And Bernie Sanders being 30 or 40 years his junior, you know.
Now I'm going to have to go Google to figure out how old these guys are.
There's a lot of numbers. He can't be that old.
There's a lot of numbers being thrown around. And then it's going to be bad for Bernie when we look and we see that they're the same age. Or Bernie's going to be older than him.
First, a few things. A, I'm donating to Gravel's campaign tonight. That's first point.
Keen says he's just trying to get to the debate stage, so make sure you donate.
Yes.
He's fully endorsed Tulsi. They said he has endorsed Tulsi.
Okay, so second point. He is fucking awesome. Like I remember him in 2008, but I don't remember him. I think I was more so in the Democratic thought. They laughed at him. What are you doing? I'm just asking, what are you doing?
I want to go back to the beginning of the video where they start on his old man shoes.
Oh, I don't think it's relevant. In fact, I don't even think it matters. I want him on that debate stage. I want him making that political opinion on a debate stage.
I think they'll laugh less.
I don't think they'll laugh at all now
than they did. That was Obama up there laughing, just for the record.
I know, but that gives you an impression of who he was. I mean, even looking at that, the glossy finish of Obama and Clinton.
They're like, he doesn't stand a chance.
He's trying to say America shouldn't tell people what they need to do abroad. No, the beauty of it on this debate stage is his political opinion has come. Like, that perspective that he's talking about that's the lefty position. That's the position that they're pushing against. When he's saying there should be Medicare for all, that is not the opinion that people laugh at anymore. That is the opinion that people have to deal with. When he says, hey, maybe we shouldn't be bombing these countries, from the standpoint of the left and the right, that is the main prevailing political wind. I guess, doesn't it give you this kind of clue on where we are, like, in the country? I understand that for the most part, the country itself hasn't changed. It's almost like, I know what exactly it's like. It's like a huge amount of political potential energy builds up behind something, and then something sets it off, and it goes. Meaning, this guy, if you go back to that debate, the stuff that he was saying, they looked at him like he was a lunatic. But today, not so much. Like, he's sitting here right now in his old man shoes, but he's
with that old man head shake.
But he has a head shake at the candidates. But the fact of the matter is, his political opinion is the political opinion of the left. That's where all the energy is in any notion of the Democratic Party itself, even many members who are not considering themselves Democrats. His political opinion is not a Democrat's political opinion. Does that make sense? Like, there's a huge amount of energy that has the potential to be able to be set off. This is a good thing. This is a good thing.
Somebody said hashtag Gravalanche. That's what was said.
I love that.
When he put the super chat earlier, he said, talk about Mike Gravel. And he said Gravalanche, which implies that his name is Gravel. I mean, I know it's not.
But it's like Feel the Burn. Burn.
But his name, it sounds like Bernie. It is Bernie Sanders.
But Gravel, you can kind of mislook at it. Okay.
So wait, let me go back because I got to catch up with super chats before we get too far.
But first off, thank you for whoever recommended. I remembered him, but you know what's fucked up? I remembered him as a fringe laugh character.
You mean how they were laughing at him in this video?
Yeah, but that gives you this idea of my own political disposition, like from where I was versus where I am.
We've come a long way since 2008.
Significantly so. We weren't together in 2008 though. I'm just saying we weren't together in 2008. I had just got back into the country.
Are your positive changes
yeah, they're positive.
Related to
what?
You supposed to know what I'm gonna say.
Well, I don't know where you're going. There weren't enough words.
Related to my presence?
No. I mean, don't get me wrong. You brought positive things into my life, so I don't want you to think that.
I think there's a direct correlation between the two personally. But all right, let me read these super chats because there's.
I think parts are. If I'm being honest, parts are.
There's a lot of chatter going on, and so I'm missing super chats because
there's
over 400 people watching. If you have not given the thumbs up to the video, make sure you like. I don't know how many we have, but anyway, Zuggy the chess god is back.
You mocked me. I have to find Zuggy and beat the shit out of him live.
Why am I?
That's the only. This brings back bad memories. I'm sorry. It brings back bad memories. It hits.
This reminds me of like when I'm driving in my car and people like cut me off or like they almost hit me and I'm like, am I too small? My car is small. Did you not see me here?
You do have a small car, but I'm sorry.
Your car is smaller than mine. All right. Zuggy the chess god says, I didn't even know it was a playing chess live stream. I thought it was basketball the way Jamarl kept getting dunked on.
You know the sad part? I pushed my rating up to over 1,900 that night. I went from 1,600. I put on like 300 puts within that stream. But Zuggy continuously beat me. It didn't matter what my rating was. He would pop up randomly and beat me. It was brutal, man. That was my uncle one time.
What was his rating?
I don't remember. It didn't seem to matter. Like his rating, literally, whatever it was,
irrelevant.
It was irrelevant to him kicking my ass. I would put on rating points. Zuggy would come up, and I would be like, "Yes, I'm going to beat the shit out of him. I'm going to take you apart live," and it would never happen. I would be in this embarrassing situation of saying how much I'm going to kick his ass.
Would you talk trash to him actually, or just in your head?
No. It would be live. It would be on stream.
You would talk trash.
Yeah, it was on stream. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But again, I put on like 1,900 points that night. I got up to like 1,900 or something. You must understand, I used to be, like, my rating used to be like 2,100. I used to be able to maintain like a 2,100 rating playing Blitz. And I stopped playing chess for a while. And I come back to playing chess. And, you have a certain air of arrogance associated with being able to push your rating over to 2,000. And so I assume that same air when I go back into it and I get crushed. And it is a brutal, disemboweling of an individual to have to lose their royalty in this way. It's like being, it's like the king being defiled, by a farm animal or something on TV. And so I had to kind of accept the fact that my rating was not what it was and build upon that. And my goal was to get better, just to improve. To take the beatings, to accept the fact that you're no longer where you were, and just improve. And I was doing that live because my rule was if you get beat, you have to go over the game that you lost. Right, you got to do it. It's a rule. And so for 9 hours, I am playing and I'm taking that rule. And I pushed my rating up to 19 something, and it didn't matter what my rating was. Every time Zuggy popped up, he would. And I wasn't something I chose, by the way. I would hit a button, and it would automatically choose a player for me. The rules were set.
He was just sitting there waiting.
He would just show up, like he didn't even choose it. It was like God himself chose. The machine itself just kind of paired us, on random occasions, and he kept just coming up. And he would whip my ass. And then the next thing I knew, there was somebody on the chat called Zuggy the chess god. I was like, oh, you mocked me, sir. And so it made me that much animated to try to kick Zuggy's ass. And it would never happen. I am going to find him, man. I am going to fuck him up.
Them's fighting words. All right. So Balthazar 228. Thank you, Balthazar. Balthazar says, candidates should be ripped over their political age. Nancy Pelosi and Chucky, along with Fundstein, get it? Are from the 1920s politically. Miss Dono, by the way. I did get it. He said, I missed a donation. I did see the super chat. I went back up. Balthazar says, Streamlabs keeps track of all these. It has an app and a mobile site. You can see all of these super chats in a list regardless of chat movements.
Yeah, we have it. It's right here.
I know that I'm doing this the old school way. I kind of like to look at the chats as well. So that's why I'm doing it on my phone. But I am aware of that, Balthazar. Thank you. We usually have it pulled up here, but I like to do it here.
We have 400 people here. Wow.
Nikki says, can't talk about Gravel without mentioning Ellsberg in the Pentagon Papers.
I'm laughing at Garnum. He said that's what Zuggy understood. That's what Jamal doesn't understand. Zuggy is God. You know what's fucked up about that? That brings back horrible memories, man. I used to, when my uncle's bragging on me one day. I think you know the story. My uncle's bragging on me one day. And because at this point, I'm like 3rd ranked in the state of Virginia. I am like going to chess tournaments. I'm playing like consistently, and I am a beast. I am a vulture in regards to the game. Like most of the tournaments I would play in, I would win, at least from the standpoint of my class in this tournament. And my uncle, and I'm a kid, I'm playing in adult tournaments, and my uncle is like, he's bragging on me one day. He says, I know these guys who used to play chess, and he says, let me find those guys. And usually my uncle is just bullshitting, but on this particular day, he wasn't bullshitting, and there were guys. Now, there are days, I am streaky. There are days where I would be unbeatable, and there would be days where I would have a hard time going. My normal base pattern was extraordinarily strong, but there were days, especially after tournaments, where my playing ability would drop the day after the tournament. Never failed. I used to avoid going to the barbershop on those days because I knew exactly what was going to take place. But in this particular day, I don't remember what took place, but he found them. We go to the guy's house, and the guys are playing chess. These 2 adults are playing chess. Now, it's a dicey thing having a kid play an adult. I realized this as I got older. And adults feel some kind of way about being bested by a child.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you have this kid that is crushing adults, they feel some kind of way about the fact that the kid is crushing adults. And me could be somewhat braggadocious because I come from the barbershop where they just talk shit. That's just where they are. And so that's just the way I play chess. And so we get to the guy's house, and I get crushed. Now, I get crushed in a way where I'm like, I feel horrible because my uncle brought me to the guy's house. And then the guys take on this thing of, well, I mean, he's just a child. Like, what is this child supposed to do anyway? I mean, he's going to, of course, he's just a, my uncle is like, it's okay, come on, let's go. But I've always felt some kind of way about that. And I don't know if I've ever gotten the opportunity to play those guys again because I would fuck those guys up.
Which uncle is this?
Junie. Junie talks. Junie's a bullshitter. But that day, Junie actually did have those friends. But that's what Zuggy puts me in the mind of. Where it's like, Zuggy, every time he came up, he would fuck me up. I didn't like, and it wasn't like I was playing horribly that day. Like, because clearly I put my rating up 300 points. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. He was crushing me in front of my audience. It was a brutal, brutal thing. He's just like being taken apart. All right. So, what's the next? Oh, you wanted to talk about the diet thing.
All right. So, we've got your chess spiel dropped us like 25 people. We were over 400. And I'm not saying that they're necessarily related, but now we're only at 380. So, I'm just going to go ahead.
I'm being blamed for that. Okay. Go for it.
I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there. I'm sorry. I have like a tickle or something.
Okay. You're gonna tell your story?
Well, I was gonna do the patron spiel since we have so many people. So if you are just joining us, I feel like one of those news people on TV or something like that. Anyway, so of course today is Patron Appreciation Show or Contributor Appreciation Show.
Yep.
If you were not here at the beginning of the show, we did our spiel and just another announcement. So I'll do those now. Once a week, we put a post on Patreon, on the Patreon platform, and give patrons the opportunity to submit topic suggestions. We pull from those suggestions to do the weekly show to give appreciation for everybody who contributes monetarily. If you are contributing outside of Patreon via PayPal, Super Chat, or Streamlabs, email us in the link below with your topic suggestion or submit them with however you contribute. I think you pulled this stuff up on the screen to distract me while I'm doing my thing on purpose. but it's fine. If you're contributing some other kind of way, let us know what you would like for your topic suggestion to be. Also, just an announcement, because this is a patron appreciation show or a contributor appreciation show. Mm-hmm. The video is going to be live, of course, now, but then after the live streaming, it's going to be taken down and put exclusively on the Patreon platform. So if you're not a patron, you will not have access to the show outside of the live stream.
Yes.
However, because we want to make sure that people who are contributing by other means have access to the exclusive content in the Patreon show, we created a Facebook group. It's a secret group, private group, whatever, like a members only kind of thing. Yeah. Email us if you're contributing outside of that. Everything that's on the Patreon platform is going to be dropped into this Facebook group as well. So if you have Facebook and you are a contributor or a supporter of the show and want the access, let us know. We'll send you the link so you can apply to be on, answer a couple questions, whatever. Somebody said they can't help me. They can't hear me. I hope so. I'm talking pretty loudly. Can't hear you. Oh man, I did my whole spiel and nobody could hear. All I said was this is contributor appreciation show. They said they couldn't hear me.
Okay, wait a minute.
Garden Gnome says he's having issues with Patreon and haven't had time to correct them. What kind of issues are you having, Garden Gnome?
Let us know, because I have
Patreon sucks.
I have moral qualms about Patreon.
Oh, Anon Foras says we can hear you fine. I heard you. Oh, okay. Somebody said they could hear him, but not me. So yes, if you're a contributor, thank you. That's why we're doing this show, is to thank you.
So let's talk about Patreon.
Let's talk about Patreon.
Yeah, let's talk about Patreon.
Let's talk about.
So Patreon has, and I don't necessarily know if there's anything I can do about it, and I don't even know if there is a moral qualm to be had here, but for some reason I feel there's a moral qualm to be had. Patreon is changing their rule set, and meaning new people who are coming onto the platform, like YouTubers and that type of thing, are going to have to sign up to, I guess, a different type of contract than what people were getting originally when they first started. Mm-hmm. And I guess they're doing this, I guess, to raise additional revenue, I guess, from the people who are joining the platform. Now, for people who are already there, no changes. This feels like the grandfather thing for Republicans, for me, though, where Republicans would say, hey, we're going to take away your Medicare, but for the people who are there now, we're not going to mess with it. Trying to create an us versus them. The us being the people who are already there versus them meaning the people who aren't. That always feels awkward to me when I see something like that. And maybe this is a misappropriation, meaning I'm appropriating something that I'm understanding from one thing to another context, and it doesn't apply. But that is something that is coming up with Patreon. So
let us know what kind of issues you're having. Can you open back up the YouTube thing on here? Oh, I found it. I read Nikki saying read my super chat out loud. I did read it. I thought I did read it, Nikki, but I think Jamal skipped over because he was in his chest zone. But I said I read her super chat out loud and you didn't comment on it at all.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I said can't talk about Gravel without mentioning Ellsberg in the Pentagon papers.
Daniel Ellsberg in the Pentagon's papers. He is. God, I love him. I have to. Let's do this. Daniel Ellsberg. Ellsberg. Pentagon papers. You can't talk about Pentagon papers without talking about WikiLeaks. Like, in fact, Ellsberg is on Real News Network talking about WikiLeaks and talking about, the documents that these guys are releasing and the necessity of it, of whistleblowers and being able to get this information out to the press. Yeah, man, this is...
He's writing it down to kind of delve into it at a later time.
Oh, I know it.
Nobody said you didn't know about it.
No, it's not that. I'm looking specifically for the relationship between Gravel and
Ellsberg and Pentagon papers. Lorm said Patreon is getting sensitive and selective. Yeah. Somebody said they're using PayPal. They got rid of Patreon. Dun 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 dun. Garden Gnome. I lost it. He says it won't take off my old credit card and let me replace it with another.
All right, so that's what it was. I was making sure that it was right. Sometimes when I hear this stuff, I'm like, all right, I think I know what that is. Political involvement in Vietnam. That's what it is.
Slow News Day says the reason you need to mention Gravel with the Pentagon Papers is because he read them aloud on the Senate floor.
That's how, okay, and that was the thing that allowed it to be legal, if I'm not mistaken. Like, a senator or congressional person can read something aloud on the floor of Congress, and you can't, if I'm not mistaken, you can't
interrupt them or
it's not illegal when they, right, you can't prevent them from doing it. There's some quirk that allows him to get away with that.
Gravel read the Pentagon Papers into congressional record and tried to get them published, risking indictment.
Wow. That's amazing. In 2011, the entirety of the Pentagon Papers was declassified and publicly released. 2011, it took that long. I created a Vietnam task force for the purpose of writing an encyclopedic history of the Vietnam War. You know, the wild part about this, McNamara has this video that is, it's a must-watch. In fact, it should be a must-watch for every child that's going to school. Just talking about the lessons that he's learned throughout the course of his life. And many of those lessons relate to the Vietnam War and the number of people that died in that war. And him making this argument of just kind of making this basic case of that war didn't have to happen, or that war should have never taken place. And it was a fundamental breakdown and misunderstanding of the intentions of the United States versus the intentions or the needs of the Vietnamese. Even, I gotta be honest, this kind of imperialistic look that the United States has that believes that it has authority to do this anyway. It is fascinating read. Oh man.
Right, Zuggy the Chess God, again, Zuggy says,
mocks me.
The plebs demand Civ 6 live stream.
Oh! You know Civ?
Civilization?
Yeah, the game. I don't think I've ever done Civ live stream. In fact, the only Civ I've played Civ 4, I think was the Civ 4 or 5.
Garden Gnome says, Garden Gnome, do you want to maybe just... Okay, so people who...
What's wrong?
Well, Garden Gnome is saying that he's having trouble with his card through Patreon. He's going to have to contact the support or something to get them to remove the card.
I can contact them if he wants.
Yeah, maybe Jamal will reach out to them. Somebody said, love me some Civ. 5 is good. Who live streams Civ? That's a slow game.
That is a slow game.
It's a long game.
That may take forever. That could take like days.
That's why we haven't played in a while, because it's very long.
Well, no, that's not why we haven't played. No.
It takes hours to play.
Let's be very clear. The game is the game. The reason we haven't played the game is because one of us doesn't like to play the game. Whether the game takes 5 hours or whether the game takes 2 minutes, the game is an inanimate object and doesn't have any choice or agency in the situation. The agency falls down to one of us. I am all in on this. It's the other person.
Zuggy says, is it slow at chess? No, it's slower than chess. The games, especially because, and
it
first of all, we can't
hours.
We can't both play Civ anymore because we used to have 2 Xboxes. He would be in one room and I would be in the other room, and we would play Civ.
He's talking about Civ on the computer.
Oh.
We could play Civ together on the computer. And I've offered.
But it still takes like hours. My attention span is really low. I have like ADD, ADHD, A, B, C, F.
Personally, I love the game.
I like it, and I liked it when we played. First of all, I don't like playing on the computer as much. I like it better when it was on the gaming system, but it's slow either way. Right, Garden Gnome says, I love Civ, but it eats away at your day.
It does. I mean, it does. Like,
it's like a time hole.
You would like binge play that game.
You can't binge play it. That's like one game.
No. But it's one game. That's what I mean. One game. One game.
Like I played all day. Yeah, you got one game.
Well, for me, it would be like, let's say you started like 5 in the evening, and then you're just playing, you're playing. Something happens. Let's say a war starts. Let's say the game gets good, but at this point, you have an entire empire, and you have every move. You have to go from, let's say, this country, this country, this country, and let's say you're trying to do an operation. That means that demands your entire attention because you're trying to take something, and so you have 30 bombers, 50 bombers. And you need to move, like, it gets so intense in regards to the time it takes just for one move, let alone one game.
This is a game, Cozy 3 is asking, what? I think they're lost in the conversation.
Oh,
civilization.
Civilization
is
so
a game.
Think of it this way: you start your civilization from infancy. Like to me, I used to get this. It used to feel like a religious experience to me watching that game, especially when I was studying, like getting really in depth in the history, and you're seeing this evolve. And you start from nothingness as cavemen doing this really racist stuff and beating the tribal people. Like people with bones in their noses and whatnot. So you're killing them in order to get wealth, luxury, and so forth. And you build an empire. And you start to develop sciences. You start to develop art. All of these things, culture. And your civilization starts to get evaluated almost like by these godlike beings in order to bestow riches and whatnot. And you battle or cooperate with other civilizations on the board in order to kind of grow and expand your civilization.
Can we talk about, because you were talking about things that you have to do in Civ, can we talk about how racist civilization is?
Game's not racist.
There's some stuff on there when you're like, oh, like the little jungle babies that they have. They come out there and they come out with sticks and they're like blah 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 blah, blah. And you're like,
but nobody talks on the game. And
they don't speak real languages. But so even though there's a French person, they come up and they're like, and you're like, what? This is so racist. It's so inappropriate.
But it's not racist. It's equal opportunity. I mean, even they have natives that are from like Ireland or somewhere like that coming out, shaking sticks or whatnot. I mean, there's all over the globe, they have somebody in the game. Now, you look at that and say, oh man, they got those guys looking rough. But it's more so in your eye, not necessarily as it is. Because all of them look that way. Yeah, but they have the white Irelands too. I mean, why is it not racist for the Irelands?
I think it's all racist.
I don't think it's racist. I think it is what it is. It's, people at a particular time period and the things that they did in order to get by.
Do we have a Streamlabs?
Yes. Right here.
We're losing people. We're losing them.
Well, Dore story, and we're talking about fuckery at this point. Fred Edwards. Mike.
Yes, Garden Gnome like Shaka. Where they come out there like, boo, boo, boo. Oh, sorry. Am I interrupting you?
I bet Gravel knows.
That's Fred Edward.
Mike Gravel is old enough. I bet Gravel knows where have all the haberdashers gone. It's wild. He puts that in places where I don't realize it's coming. Like, it would be like, the conversation starts a particular way, then it becomes some bull where have all the haberdashers gone. All right. We've been talking about fuckery.
Oh, wait. I just got a text message. Hi, Aisha. I wanted to make sure you saw our first message. I probably didn't know. I blocked that shit. Can you kickstart our national organizing program by hosting an organizing kickoff for Bernie on Saturday, April 27th?
Are you?
I ain't doing that shit.
Why not?
Do I want to host an organizing kickoff?
Yeah.
For Bernie Sanders on April 27th.
You're supporting Sanders.
I have plans that day.
That's why people can't get that done, man. Just saying.
Don't text me like you know me.
Can't, just saying. I mean, the only way for her to text you is for you to have given them your number. So it's not like, oh my God, how did they get my number? You gave them your phone number. That's the only way.
Not to text me, though.
They would have asked you whether or not you would have had to tell them yes.
All right, moving on to the next topic.
So, new health find poor diet kill more people globally to tobacco. This is your story.
So this was actually a story that was suggested by patron Noah R. He said the article talks about how poor diets are more responsible for any other health risk. I was wondering what the two of you thought on this and what could be potential solutions. Thanks and love the show, Noah. So thank you, Noah, for that. I thought this was interesting because as someone myself that tries and fails to monitor my diet sometimes, I never really thought about this. But essentially, it's a global study. We'll give you the rundown and the link will be in the description box. Mm-hmm. But just like the heading and the topic suggests, a new global study finds that poor diet kills more people globally than tobacco and high blood pressure. More specifically, they had three things that they studied when they say poor diet. It was not eating enough whole grains, not eating enough fruit, and consuming too much sodium. So those 3 things were used to basically get statistics to say that not doing these 3 things is more dangerous than smoking tobacco and having high blood pressure. Now, Jamal and I were having the conversation about this topic before the show started, because the numbers are, I think the people who had poor diets, these 3 things specifically, 10.9 people died. 10.9 million people died that year in the study. People who smoked tobacco, 10.3 million people died. And then something a little bit lower, people that had high blood pressure. Fact check me in the article, but it's there. But essentially, more people died per year, or in the year of this study, due to poor diet.
Now, my thing was, wouldn't there be, by definition, less people smoking
than people that have poor diets?
Yes.
And that's when it was like,
because poor diets are ubiquitous. I mean, it's far and few between. I know of no one who has a good diet. You know what I mean?
And then they're specifically, that's what I'm saying, they did narrow it down to those 3 specific things.
If you eat out, you're screwed. If you know what I mean? It's not, there aren't, how many health food eat out places are you going to get on Grubhub? This is going to be few and far between that we're talking about. So, you know, unless somebody is cooking in and eating in a house all the time, and there are people who do that, but I'm talking about the prevailing wind, prevailing number. What's the number of people who are overweight in the United States?
Oh, that's in the, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to make this point that, at least from the standpoint of the way the United States is set up, I can't talk about other countries, I don't live there, but from the standpoint of the United States, I look at that and say, well, of course, there are going to be far more people who have bad diets than there are people that smoke, or that.
I think my thing was, and then I asked, but a lot of people don't know that it's more deadly than those other things. And Jamal was like, well, surely people that are eating at McDonald's know that they're eating shitty food and that it's a bad diet. And I said, yeah, but are they saying eating that McDonald's and saying, this is going to kill me probably faster than if I smoked or if I had high blood pressure? And I think that's the difference.
Well, wait. Not faster. Just
not faster, but more people.
Right.
Yeah. Or their chance is greater, I guess is what I'm saying.
Because my thinking is, you're doing this day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out. And what? Most habits, strong habits, especially that set up the child's psychology, from 1 to 4. And so McDonald's, Burger King, fast food have organized their environment, their marketing to get that person at that young age. And even then, we don't look at this stuff as being a negative thing. It's from a cultural standpoint. Walk outside and just go to a main street.
Just what
it's lined with stores. It's lined with shitty food. You know, that's not just in the United States. That's in many places. But particularly in the United States, they have a fiscal incentive to get people to eat shitty stuff. You know what I mean? To push that on the individual, to say, you know, that allows them to advertise that stuff to people. The government doesn't necessarily intrude into that process. Hell, the government subsidizes sugar, for that matter. So, you know, put this shit in perspective. The shitty food thing is incentivized, and it's something that we, for the most part, partake of, and we don't look at it as being a negative in the least. So when I think of that, yes, I would think that shitty foods will cause just as many. I've had this very argument with this guy who was it was a Brit in Germany. He was a British cat in Germany. His point was, we were talking about this thing of the government subsidizing healthcare, and how I was like, well, shitty foods kills just as much. I mean, should the government subsidize shitty foods, or should they do something about shitty foods? And he was like, well, I mean, we don't know that. I was like, we do. I was like, how can you not know that? Yeah. It's like, do you honestly believe that eating at McDonald's is not going to have just as much effect? You know, like we were having that conversation. But to me, this came across as like just somewhat of a, it's like, okay. Like, it's like, this doesn't shock me. I put it that way.
Yeah. And I guess that's kind of how I felt about it too, but I thought it was just kind of interesting.
Oh, no, I think it's interesting. I want to keep this article because when I have the conversation again, I want to be like, dude, I've watched research that said, and by the way, it's not that it kills you faster. So let's be very clear. It's just when people could look back and it was like, okay, this person has this level of pathologies that's related to 20 years of this, 40 years of this. McDonald's can sell that shit to you because they're not there at the scene of the crime. The fact of the matter is, if somebody was looking at the pathology of the individual, they would say, okay, these are the issues. But they don't look at it that way. They say, this individual did this in his life.
Yeah.
Purely as individual act, not as a societal act. Because understand, the fact that the individual is overweight is not purely the fault of the individual, especially if you have a society of people that has high percentages of that. And you look at all the incentives in this entirely are for this to take place. You have an industry that's built after the fact, after these people get overweight, they're trying to bring them back into line. You have the industry when these people get sick and die of doctors who depend on those people to get sick and die because that's how they make their ends. You have these companies that do everything in their power to get these people to eat the bad shit. They may even say, hey, we have healthy options. We have salads. We have fruit.
And someone saying sugar is subsidized. I made the point that I don't really see...
I just said that.
Well, someone else said it too.
I just said that. See? The second time. She doesn't want to give me credit. But that's okay. That's okay. She's my wife. I love her.
I say you said
go
it
ahead.
too.
Do you, boo.
I lost my train of thought. Reeve Barker says, Kyle Kalinske did a good segment regarding a diet article. Gardenome says, they add so much salt to food, it's beyond belief.
Yeah.
A lot of preservatives are sodium-based.
But here's the other thing. It is incentivized for the food to taste good. Meaning, however it needs to taste, it just needs to be good.
Adding salt. Most of the time it's adding sugar.
Well, they add sugar also because your body can sense sugar even if you can't sense it on a conscious level. So I'm going to put sugar in hot dogs because I know that they're going to think that this hot dog is a little bit better even if they don't know why they think this hot dog is a little bit better, but your brain knows it. Like, it's amazing. Think of this for the moment. We've created a society that advances itself or pushes itself for incentive-wise into making you ill. And people know what makes you ill. So it's not done on a scientific level of, okay, how do we make sure our society stays well and fit and healthy and etc. And how do we create incentives that attest to that?
That's not the focus.
It's the opposite. It's these people are individuals. These people make individual choices. These people do, the atomization of the person. And then when anything happens to the person, we say it's purely the individual's fault because the individual made shitty decisions. Missing the point that who you're around, and if you're around a bunch of fast food and the media and everything else, that's what you get.
Libby DVR says, we need subsidies for produce instead of meat and dairy and eggs.
Yes.
The foods that are cheaper are because our tax dollars go to those industries. If fruit was cheap, we'd eat it.
We'd eat it more, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that you were saying is that...
Oh, environment creates behavior?
Yeah.
And I made this argument when we were traveling. I said, I'm going to lose weight when I travel. I said, we both are. Because I said, my thought was, when we were back in the States, for the most part, you get in the car, you go to where you need to go. That's how Richmond is. There is public transportation, you don't want to use it. So for the most part, we use cars. But when you're traveling, it's not that way. Everywhere you go, you're walking, you're running, you're moving, you're jumping.
We make a point to use public transportation when we do travel.
Yeah, it's like, for the most, I think we had a car once in the entire time we were traveling. And so everything that you're doing, you're moving. The last few weeks, or the last few months I was traveling was in brutally cold weather, snow most of the time, and you're walking blocks to even get to the first bus. So, I get back, I'm like, 20 pounds less. Or something like that, and I put that weight back on within like 2 weeks. Yeah. It's maddening how fast, and it's because you get back home and
you come sit in
your job is
here
at home.
Work, and then if you need to go somewhere, you get in the car and you drive to the store. I mean, we went to the grocery store in Portugal, walking down the street, carrying the grocery bags, walking to the grocery store.
The environment creates behavior. I'm saying that to say this: when you have a culture and a country that doesn't look at this idea that what people are around instead of it influences the person. And we know that just from kids. Kids are growing up in a harsh crowd. Kids are growing up with abusive parents. How do these influences affect people, especially when the society says these things are okay and allow these things to be ubiquitous? It affects them by people using them. Do you go to the gym if the gym is out of your way? Meaning if you have to literally get up, walk out your door?
The answer to that
is usually no.
When I used to work right across the street from my gym, I went a
you
couple times a week.
Right.
Ask me when's the last time that I went to the gym now that I work from home, and it's not
different.
Right here.
Your environment creates your behavior. When you have an environment that incentivizes certain acts, it becomes easier to do those acts. I firmly believe that.
Well, if you're interested in more information about this study that Noah sent us, the link will be down in the description box below. So check that out. We just thought it was interesting. And since it was a topic suggested by a patron, that we would just kind of touch on it today.
Absolutely.
Balthazar 228. Balthazar says, I tried eating vegan for a week.
How was it? Did you do it?
They taste like pork. I think you're talking about vegan people. Not actually vegan food. I was a vegetarian for quite a few years before Jamal and I met.
I was a vegetarian for 1 week. I couldn't do it. I broke. I was eating cheese and something else, but it was like.
I think you could do it better now that we're together. I cooked a lot. I cooked. Well, not recently, but I like to cook. So I would say regularly I cooked, but I cooked every meal. I cooked a lot being a vegetarian. There was a lot of shit all over my kitchen. Fresh beans. I mean, it was insane. I think you could do better now. Meditating Jesus says they have us completely brainwashed to rely on IT. I'm not sure where that played in. I think we missed some topic they were talking about. Zuggy the Chess God, thank you, Zuggy, says, would you pay support tax on prepared food to pay M4A?
Medicare for all.
Oh, okay. Would you support tax on prepared food to pay for Medicare for all?
That's an interesting proposal, right? Well, the problem is that's a tax that's hitting the bottom class. Like, think of how many Mitt Romneys that you have around the world or in the United States. And how many of those Mitt Romneys are eating at McDonald's? So the tax itself, for the most part, are just affecting people who are at the bottom end of the economic scale. It's almost like you're taxing the poor in order to pay for Medicare for all. I would rather tax the rich to pay for Medicare for all. Now, but as a secondary point, though, you could even look at it through the lens of a medical thing. What I would do is support new government jobs in order to take some of these factories and convert them into planetariums, but not planetariums, like herbivoriums or something. But essentially to grow plants and stuff in these buildings. Like you have all of these. Think of all the warehouses that are in Richmond that are run down. Now that's not just Richmond. That's Ohio. That's Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Convert some of these places into buildings that grow plants, nutritious foods that people can eat, and have those things be given away at little to no value. I mean, it just almost give them away free. Allow people to be able to get their hands, especially in these places that are food deserts. Like, government can do this. Yeah. Like, government creates jobs. Government create those jobs to do that. And automate the place so that the place runs almost at cost.
In that same vein, Robert Pookie Ray, thank you, says, if government paid for healthcare, they'd regulate better.
You said they'd regulate it better?
Mm-hmm.
I think there'd be more... If paid who for
healthcare?
Government
paid for healthcare, they'd regulate better.
Regulate.
Another Mike says, unregulated capitalism kills.
Yes. I mean, it's utopian, right? I mean, think about it for the moment. They're trying to say that the free market, this unregulated, just free market, people working off their own worst incentives and their worst drives will come out to the best of their outcomes. That's utter nonsense. I mean, like the thinking of it is bizarre.
Cozy3 says he's from Richmond, and now he's saying he got in trouble taking GRTC, which is the Richmond transit system, to school when I told them, take this bus to Libya. This was 1985.
Why did you tell them to take this bus to Libya?
To school when I told them, take the bus to Libya.
What does that mean? Why did you tell them that? Take this bus to Libya.
Fred Edwards says hydroponics or aeroponics gardens and warehouses.
Yeah, that's my point. And because the government doesn't need to make a profit in this. Meaning the job of the government is not to make a profit in this. Don't hire a private industry to do this. Just create the fucking jobs yourself. If you want to create a new level of government that says, you know, an aspect of government that's only job is to feed the population itself, then do that. But whatever you need to call it, I don't care what you need to call it. I care about the function. I care about the result. And the function in this case to be, you want food, at the very least, if nothing else, you could be poor as poor could be. You can have 2 dimes not to rub to your name, but you can get food. At the very least, you can get basic food. That's what I want. I want alienated services that are just there, that the basics that people need in life is there. I want it to be supplied. And it's not a situation that the government can't do it. It's not that we can't afford it. What? It costs less than $200 billion to get rid of all the poverty in the United States. And you can even go further than that if you want to. You could lock that halfway off the military budget and still have a military budget that goes beyond anything else around the world. We can do these things. We choose not to.
Meditating Jesus says cotton and oil need to be replaced by hemp and green.
Hemp and green. All right. Let's see. How long have we been going?
It is now 4:10. We're gonna go to 4:20.
We've gone 3 hours. Oh wow! I didn't realize we've gone that long.
I have to head out in a minute.
So we can get into here. I have a story that I'm going to do.
Yeah, stay tuned. I have to go, so Jamal's going to finish out with the last story. You want me to go ahead and tell him what it's about?
Well, I think I'm going to have that as a video.
Well, that's what I said. He's going to finish out with the last story.
What's not finishing yet? We're finishing it now.
On this,
yeah.
Okay. Well, stay tuned. He's going to finish out our topics on a separate video.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. If you haven't hit the like button.
I didn't realize we were gone this long.
Hit the like button. How many likes do we have?
We were just running our mouth. You
were running your mouth. I was doing goddamn news.
Actually, is that what you're doing? You're doing the goddamn news.
I'm sitting here looking oily and...
All right. So, let's end this. Guys, I really do appreciate all of the assistance you guys give to the channel. And my wife does it also. She's here to help with it. And she's done an amazing job helping me reform how I do this aspect of it. Like I said, I just like doing the news. That's the part I like. I like the engagement with the audience and the doing the news part. And so there's other aspects to this. It's like, all right, it's almost like needs help to be focused into how to get the other parts of it. So she has been an amazing help in getting those aspects of it in point. So I thank you very much.
The people I'm the marketing advisor.
Yeah, she's my marketing advisor. And I'm going to call it that. I'm not going to subvert when I joke about it and call you a secretary or coffee person or something like that. I'm not going to do that.
Even though I do get your coffee when you want it.
Well, I get your coffee too. It's not a one-way thing. You're trying to be sexist. But no, I do appreciate it. You've done an amazing job with it, so thank you very much. And I know my audience appreciates it because I think they like you also when you come to the show.
Somebody said we're a couple minutes away from 4:20. Somebody said donate $4.20. Should you go to 4:20?
That's funny.
It's 8 minutes away.
Also, 4:20 is 8 minutes away. No, you gotta go to the bathroom. It's okay.
Don't put my business out there because I gotta
also,
relieve
Black
my
Box is.
When are you putting the first Black Box up?
I'm trying to get the first episode straight, and I'm thinking I might change the first episode. But Black Box is going to be out soon, so also be aware of that. I'll give more news about that on my regular show itself. But guys, thank you very much for all of your help. And what's wrong?
I was reading a comment. Fred Edwards says couples therapy, viewer funded. We don't need couples therapy.
I don't think we need couples therapy. We're not there.
Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us for these 2 hours and 45 minutes.
That's 3 hours, 50 minutes. 3 hours, 5 minutes.
The Patreon show, the show is going to go down. It's going to be dropped into Patreon and dropped onto that exclusive Facebook page that I told you about. So if you would like access and you are a contributor, supporter of the channel, send us an email and we'll give you access to that exclusive members only Facebook secret content group. But yeah, thanks guys. He puts a lot of time into the channel and this is an opportunity for him and I now to sit down and...
Well, we get to engage with the audience.
Yeah, engage with you guys and pull from your topic. So if you are a patron, make sure that you log in. Usually Thursday, I think I just got to it yesterday, Friday or Saturday, to put the post up. But make sure that you log in weekly to check for the post where you can submit your topics. You can always send them to us through the messenger and
people have been submitting more topics.
Yes, I think that patron appreciation is helping.
Yeah.
Because before we would get like one here or one here, and then like the same two people would always submit stuff. But now we're getting what looks to be new people or a variety of people submitting topics. So please, please, please log in because it makes the show more diverse. It gives us more opportunity to talk about what you want. So
So that's
so log in if you're a patron. If you're not a patron, consider becoming a patron. You can contribute as little as $1 a month, and you get all the exclusive access, content, all that good stuff. It helps them because it's kind of like a regular stream that comes in. Any way that you support monetarily is greatly, greatly appreciated. If you're not supporting monetarily, it's still appreciated.
Like, share, all that good stuff.
Just come check the videos out. That's support.
Or just even watch.
Yeah.
Just watch.
Subscribe and
don't watch anything you don't like, and don't like a video that you don't like. I don't believe in that.
But if you like the video,
definitely like the video.
Then hit the thumbs up button because that lets him know what people like. I watch YouTube videos, and I know that a lot of times when I first started watching, I didn't pay attention. I never liked videos.
I didn't pay attention to it either until later on.
But I heard a girl talk about why it was so important to hit the like button, and since then, if I like it, don't just click like.
Yeah, don't just click.
I mean, you can.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
But if you like it, then definitely give it a thumbs up. And like Jamal says, if you're coming back often and you're not subscribed, you should be subscribed because that's free. Make sure once you subscribe, hit the little bell icon that's down there on the bottom next to the subscribe button, because that makes sure that you get notifications. Usually you'll get them every now and then. YouTube is a little
slow,
raggedy.
Yeah.
But hit the bell
but
icon.
I do videos all the time, like multiple times throughout the week. In fact, multiple times throughout the day. So
Trudy says you have our addies. Just send it. Where do we have your address? Trudy, are you talking to us?
Have our address?
She's saying you have our address. Just send it. Oh, somebody said get Gravel on the show. You should reach out to Gravel. You should do that. He's gonna do that.
I would love to have him
on
the show.
We can't say he's gonna have him on the show, but he's gonna reach out to try to get Gravel on the show, right?
Yes.
He's writing it down, so it's happening. A lot of times when he's scribbling his pad, it's just like little circles and it's not anything. Fun fact. But it is actually something that he's writing down. All right, I'm done. I gotta go.
I have I get nervous energy, man. Where it feels like it's like I need to move or something. I think as I've gotten older, I've become more kinesthetic, like learning wise. I think I might have always been that way, and just was kind of using the other two attributes. It's kind of like Captain Marvel. Like, you know, being restrained in the other two senses, then it just rips through it. You know, something like that. It's something like Captain Marvel. I don't know how. It's just something like that. All right, we're going to end this. Guys, thank you for all your help with the show. And I will see you guys soon. Probably with
He'll be right back to cover our last topic as the
potentially.
Second.
At some point, I'll be back. But we'll talk about the next topic. But that's going to be a separate video. Because I had started my own video on that before this thing started. In fact, I have several pages.
And just tie that in.
We'll see.
Because there wasn't none of that was patron topics. So I think that's...
What are you talking about? All of those were patron topics.
Listen to what I'm saying. The next topic that you're going to talk about.
Oh, that's not a patron topic.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So if it was patron topic, I would say talk about it here in Patron Appreciation. But since it's not, go ahead.
Guys, thank you all. And we'll see you in a few. Bye-bye. And we are off.